Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
We'll have comedy in the middle of your week here with My Friend Irma, The Halls of Ivy, People Are Funny, Robert Q. Lewis, Jack Benny, and Fibber McGee and Molly all straight ahead on this Wednesday, 31st day of January. We're at the end of the month. We have 335 days remaining till we get to 2025. Confederate General Robert E. Lee became General-in-Chief on this date in 1865. 3M marketed the first Scotch tape on this date in 1930. The Green Hornet radio show debuted in 1936. U.S. Army Private Eddie Slovic executed on this date in 1945, the first American soldier since the Civil War to be executed for desertion. President Truman announced a program to develop the hydrogen bomb on this date in 1950. In 1957, 3 students on a junior high school playground in Tacoma, California, among the 8 persons killed following the mid-air collision between a Douglas DC-7 airliner and a Northrop F-87 Scorpion fighter jet above the San Fernando Valley section of Los Angeles. We have an episode of the CBS Radio Workshop. It is not a particularly good condition one, but I'll find that deals with this, and it is a horrific story. In 1958, Explorer 1, the first successful launch of an American satellite into orbit in 1958.
Cape Canaveral, Florida, and a final checkup for the 70-foot Jupiter C about to put the Explorer into orbit round the Earth. The success of the Russian Sputniks and the failure of America's Vanguard project must have been in the minds of all concerned as the moment for firing approached.
8, 7, 6, 5.
The United States is ready to try and place its first Earth satellite into orbit. And there is a sudden tremendous burst of flame. We can see the Jupiter C missile on its way.
We may be sure that a great sigh of relief accompanied the Explorer as it soared away into outer space, exactly according to plan.
A newsreel footage of that event. James Van Allen discovered the Van Allen radiation belt on this date, also in 1958. In 1961, Ham the Chimp traveled into outer space aboard Project Mercury, the Mercury Redstone 2 rocket. After a 37-day pause on this date in 1966, President Johnson ordered resumptions of airstrikes in Vietnam.
On this Monday morning in Vietnam, at my direction, after complete and thorough consultation and agreement with the government of South Vietnam, United States aircraft have resumed action in North Vietnam.
2 years later, 1968, the Viet Cong would attack the U.S. Embassy in Saigon. In 1988, President Reagan spoke at a memorial service honoring the crew of the Space Shuttle Challenger who were killed at liftoff 3 days earlier.
Dick, Mike, Judy, Elle, Ron, Greg, and Krista, your families and your country mourn your passing. We bid you goodbye. We will never forget you.
Over 10,000 people at the ceremony, where the president went on to say,
sometimes when we reach for the stars, we fall short. But we must pick ourselves up again and press on, despite the pain. Our nation is indeed fortunate that we can still draw on immense reservoirs of courage, character, and fortitude. That we're still blessed with heroes like those of the Space Shuttle Challenger.
And their legacy will continue into the future with a space program. The first Russian McDonald's opened in Moscow on this date in 1990. Of course, it's no longer a McDonald's. As McDonald's pulled out, they're doing their own thing now. In this date in 1992, Howard Cosell retired.
This is Howard Cosell saying goodbye.
After his wife died of a heart attack 2 years earlier, the sportscaster's health began to fail. He himself would die of a cardiac embolism 3 years later at the age of 77. 1995, President Bill Clinton authorized a $20 billion loan to Mexico to stabilize its economy. In the Netherlands, on this date in 2001, a Scottish court convicted a Libyan and acquitted another for their part in the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103, which crashed into Lockerbie, Scotland in 1988. Mystery Science Theater 3000 ended its run on the Sci-Fi Channel on this date in 2004. In 2005, the child molestation trial of superstar Michael Jackson began in California. Jackson himself would appeal to the public for a fair trial.
In the last few weeks, a large amount of ugly, malicious information has been released into the media about me. Apparently, this information was leaked through transcripts in a grand jury proceeding, where neither my lawyers nor I ever appeared. The information is disgusting and false.
Jackson was acquitted on all charges on June 13th of this year, 2005. He never returned to the Neverland Ranch. In 2006, Samuel Alito assumed office as the 110th Supreme Court Justice of the U.S.
I believe that Supreme Court Justice Alito will be a credit to the court and a credit to the country.
And he continues to serve on the Supreme Court at this date at the age of 73. It was a year ago today the last Boeing 747, the first wide-body airliner, was delivered. Passing away on this date, the inventor of FM radio, Edwin Armstrong, also author A.A. Milne, Samuel Goldwyn, the movie studio executive, and jazz drummer Cozy Cole. Now, among those born on this date in history who are no longer with us, Austrian composer Franz Schubert, also Western writer Zane Grey. This is also the birth date of Big Banjo Eyes, Eddie Cantor, actress Tallulah Bankhead, darling, also comedian Gary Moore, Mario Lanza, Carol Channing, Norman Mailer, actor James Franciscus, and the very lovely Suzanne Plachette.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
From Airplane and Beverly Hills Cop, Jonathan Banks is 77. From KC and the Sunshine Band, Harry Wayne Casey, 73. John Lydon, better known as Johnny Rotten and the Sex Pistols, 68 today. Wrestler Fit Finlay turned 66. His son is now in New Japan Pro Wrestling. From Cocktail and Roadhouse, Kelly Lynch is 65. Minnie Driver is 54. From Scandal, Kerry Washington is 47. And Justin Timberlake is 43. Those are just a few of the people celebrating the 31st day of January as their birthday. If this is your birthday,
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
and we'll get everything started in a moment with Marie Wilson as My Friend Irma from 75 years ago, January 31st, 1949, here on this Wednesday, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
They say neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night Ow!
Neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night will hold up your mail. But you can if you don't use zip codes. Be sure to use zip code on every letter and package you send, and always include your own zip code in your return address. That way, others will have it when they write to you. Remember, mail moves the country, and zip code moves the mail.
Oh, trash cans, dogs. At least that zip code.
One of the great co-stars of My Friend Irma, apart from John Brown, is Hans Conreid as Professor Kropotkin. This episode features Hans Conreid as Kropotkin. 75 years ago today, January 31st, 1949. Marie Wilson, My Friend Irma.
For the safety of your smile, use Pepsodent twice a day. See your dentist twice a year. Lever Brothers Company presents the Pepsodent show, My Friend Irma, created by Cy Howard and starring Marie Wilson as Irma with Joan Banks as Jane.
Friendship, friendship, just a perfect friendship. When other friendships have been forgot, theirs will still be hot. My friend Irma.
You know, in this age of advanced science, jet propulsion, and atomic power, great minds are contemplating trips by rocket to the moon. On such a trip, they will first pass through the Earth's atmosphere to the stratosphere, then through the low gravity belt into outer space, which is a complete vacuum. And when they get there, they will find wandering aimlessly around the brain of my friend Irma. Now, don't get me wrong. As far as little Jane Stacy is concerned, I couldn't find a sweeter, more lovable person than Irma Peterson, my roommate. It's just that sometimes she says the queerest things. For instance, I happened to mention that Dean Acheson was made head of our State Department, and Irma was quite upset. So I said, Irma.
Yes, Jane?
Do you object to Acheson taking the job?
No, but it's not fair to their other partners, Topeka and Santa Fe.
See what I mean? Right now, I have another problem. This has been going on for weeks. Irma.
Yes, Jane?
For the last time, I insist you say yes.
But I can't say yes.
But, honey, you're overdoing it, and the time has come to...
Oh, but, Jane, I feel so sentimental about those things.
I cannot help it. Enough is enough. Now, before I become a raving maniac, I warn you to say yes.
All right, Jane, you can throw out the Christmas tree.
Thank you, Mrs. Santa Claus. I don't know what is with you that you refuse to stop celebrating holidays.
But I like holidays.
Well, I know, but there's a limit to how long you can celebrate each one.
Oh, all right, I'll put the decorations away. Jane.
What, honey?
You know, we're awfully lucky.
Well, what do you mean, sweetie?
Oh, I don't know. It's just that we have such a nice, warm apartment. It's so cozy and so comforting to stand here by the window and see how the other half lives.
Honey, you're looking at the cemetery.
Well, it's just still a nice feeling. You know, Jane, it's better to be up here looking down than to be down there looking up.
Well, you'll get no argument from me.
Oh, we're both so fortunate to have such a cheerful place to live in. Oh, the draperies, the bric-a-brac, and that picture of Al. Even he is smiling contentedly.
That's only because he's facing the icebox. But you know, honey, I agree with you. In cold weather like this, there's no place like home.
How cold is it right now, Jane?
Well, the paper says it'll be about 20 degrees Fahrenheit.
No, Jane, I mean, how cold is it in this country?
No, Irma, no. Fahrenheit is a method of measuring temperature. Then, of course, there's centigrade.
Centigrade? Oh, those are those little bugs with all the legs.
Yes, and a centipede is a three-wheeled bicycle. Honey, I don't see how you... Come in.
It's only me, Professor Kropotkin. Oh, girls, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't take it any longer.
Well, what's wrong?
It's that room of mine. When I sit in it, I feel like an anemic Eskimo who has lost his shirt in a poker game.
Professor, it must be terrible up there in this weather. Why don't you try burning the stove?
Oh, I did. I burned the stove. I burned the table. I burned the bathtub. I burned everything that would burn. And now I don't know what to do. You see, girls, when a man is young, he has a fire within him. and he keeps going on all cylinders. But I'm an old man, and not only is my battery dead, but I've developed a knock in my motor.
Oh, Professor, don't let yourself get so depressed. There must be something you can do.
Oh, yes, I have plans. First of all, I want to kill Mrs. O'Reilly.
Oh, Professor, that's silly. You'd get the electric chair.
Exactly. And when they throw the switch, at least for a few seconds before I die, I'll be warm.
Now, please, stop the nonsense. I'm sure there's something we can do.
No, my little darlings, you've tried enough. There's only one thing left for me to do. I'm going to the old man's home.
Oh, Professor, you can't go there.
I got to go there. They'll never take me in the old lady's home.
Now, wait a minute, Professor. I'm going to call Mrs. O'Reilly.
It wouldn't do any good. I've called her everything.
Oh, Mrs. O'Reilly.
Yes, Janie.
Will you please come up here?
All right. Wait until I put a chalk mark on this step. I hate to sweep the same step twice.
All right.
You shouldn't have called her, Janie. She may be the last person I see before I go to the old man's home, and I would like to remember women as something human.
Quiet. Here she is.
Here I am, girls. Oh, hello, Professor.
Mrs. O'Reilly, it's bad enough you have to make me miserable by renting me a deep freeze for a room. But that doesn't give you the right to have the power of life and death.
What are you talking about?
For weeks now, I have tried to do away with myself. I tried gas, but the stove don't work. I tried to drown myself, but the bathtub leaks. And hanging is out of the question. The ceiling wouldn't stand the extra weight.
Professor, you've got no right blaming me for everything. I do all I can about your room. But after all, I'm only the landlady. The bank owns the property, and every time I ask them for money to make improvements, well, they turn me down.
They probably think it's your face you want to improve, and that much money they ain't got.
Please, Professor, I'm sure Mrs. O'Reilly is doing everything she can. Hey, I've got an idea. If you can hold out a little longer, Professor, I'll go and speak to Richard, and I'm sure with his influence, the people at the bank will listen to him.
Well, thank you, Janie, my darling. But hurry, because I'm a desperate man, and the thought of spending another sleepless night on that ice floe, I just can't stand those nightmares anymore.
Well, Professor, if you'll say the word, two can live cheaply as one, and my apartment could be our apartment.
Mrs. O'Reilly, changing nightmares does not settle my problem. Janie, please try to get Richard to help me. Otherwise, today I got to go to the old man's home. Meanwhile, I'll be upstairs waiting, girls. Goodbye.
Oh, the old men's home. Oh, girls, did he mean that?
If we can't help him.
Oh, no, we can't let that happen. He's really such a fine man. Oh, I'd miss him so.
Then why don't you go with him?
To the old men's home? Irma, please be sensible. Mrs. O'Reilly, you run along. We'll see what we can do.
Janie, darling, do everything you can. You don't know what it means to an old lady to have the companionship of a man. When I walk past the other old maids, I feel so sporty. Please try.
That I will, rest assured.
Oh, thank you, girls. Goodbye.
Oh, gosh, Jane. I feel so sorry for the professor.
Well, I won't waste any time, Irma. I'm going to call Richard right now.
Well, wait a minute, Jane. I don't see why you have to call Richard.
What do you mean?
I think we should get Al's advice.
Oh, what could Al do? Richard has influence.
Well, he's all right for stocks and bonds and high finance, but the professor's problem is different. He's miserable and disgusted.
Well, what about it?
Well, when it comes to being miserable and disgusting, no one can beat Al.
I know what you mean, Irma, and that's why I'm going to let Richard handle this. Come in.
Hello, Jane. Hiya, chicken.
Hello, Al, honey.
Chicken, you can start packing.
Packing? What for?
You and I are going to be married. And then we're going on a cruise around the world on our honeymoon.
Oh, Jane, did you hear that? Oh, isn't it wonderful?
Wonderful. It's incredible. When do you start, Al?
Just as soon as my latest deal comes through.
Oh, no, not another deal. What is it this time? Putting sawdust in little boxes and selling it for grated cheese?
No, this is natural. It's a St. Bernard who carries a jug of Alka-Seltzer for men who have already been found by the other St. Bernard.
And with that beaut, I am going to get lost, too. Irma, I'm going to meet Richard at Sam's. I'll see you later.
Chicken, what is she up to?
Well, Professor Kropotkin can't stand his room any longer, and Jane is getting Richard to see what he can do about it.
Richard. Why does it have to be Richard? What's the matter with me? I got connections.
That's what I told Jane.
Yeah, why, this is such a simple matter. We call up the fire department. Tell them the professor's room is a trap. Then they will force the bank to make the necessary repairs. Get on the phone, chicken. I'll tell you what to say.
All right, Al. Well, gee, what'll I tell him?
Just say, send the fireman to the professor's room as it is a fire trap, and unless something is done, you won't be responsible. You got it?
I think so. Hello? If you send a fireman to trap me in the professor's room, I won't be responsible until something's done.
Hold it, chicken. I'll take it. Hello, fire inspector? We wish to report that one of the rooms at 8224 West 73rd Street is a fire trap. And I think you should put pressure on the bank to make the necessary repairs. Yeah, just ask for Professor Kropotkin's room. It's the only one on the top floor. Goodbye. Well, chicken, it's all set. Now we just call up Jane and Richard at Sam's and tell them it's all fixed.
Oh, Al, I'm so proud of you. People think you're nothing, but they'd change their tune if they knew the real nothing like I do.
Well, Al, I did as you said. Richard is doing nothing about the professor.
You don't have to, Jane. It's all set.
Oh, wonderful. What did you do?
It don't matter. It's the results that count. When I put my shoulder to the wheels, they move with the speed of a flying fortress.
It's only me again, Kropotkin.
Hiya, Professor. Did the inspector come?
Yeah, he came.
Well, are they going to get the bank to make repairs?
No, they say it's beyond repair. They condemned the room. Now I got no place to live.
Don't think that you are safe from film. Run the tip of your tongue over your teeth. If you feel a slippery coating, you have film, and you need Pepsodent with Irium to remove it. For film is worse than you think.
Film collects stains that make your teeth look dull.
But remember, Pepsodent toothpaste removes film, makes your teeth look bright.
Film harbors germs that cause unpleasing breath.
True, but Pepsodent removes film, makes your breath fresh and clean.
Film glues acid to your teeth, the very acid many dentists agree is the cause of tooth decay.
That's right. But Pepsodent toothpaste removes film and the acids it contains.
Film never lets up. It forms continually on your teeth.
Yes, you have to fight film every day. So brush your teeth twice a day with Pepsodent toothpaste, because no other toothpaste can duplicate Pepsodent's film-removing formula. No other toothpaste contains Irium or Pepsodent's gentle polishing agent. So start now to fight film with Pepsodent, the toothpaste with an exclusive formula for removing film.
Well, Al and Irma have really taken care of the professor's problem. And now his room is no longer a problem to him. Why? Because he no longer has a room. And the poor professor is sitting here, the most pathetic picture you ever saw. I don't know whether he can't speak out of grief or whether it's because Irma just made a biscuit for him and he can't get his teeth apart. Irma, what are you doing now?
Well, the professor may still be hungry. I think I'll make him a Spanish omelet.
No, Irma, please, not that.
But I made a Spanish omelet for you last week.
Yes, I know. And when I went to sleep, I felt that Carmen was dancing on my stomach with spiked shoes.
Oh, now, look, Professor, you don't have to be bitter just because things didn't work out.
Al, I'm not bitter at you and Irma. Your hearts meant well. It's just that your heads got in the way. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Come in.
Oh, Professor, I've been looking for you.
Now you look for me. All these months when I wanted something done to my room, I couldn't find you.
Well, I'm sorry. And if you like, you can stay in my apartment for several days while I move in with my cousin.
Oh, no, I couldn't permit that.
Why not?
I got nothing against your cousin. Besides, I'm too old to keep moving around.
Oh, now, Professor, don't be giving yourself a complex. You're not so old. Look at me. I feel just like a girl. And when I walk down the street, I still have a spring in my step.
And I have walked behind you, and believe me, those springs need oiling. My mind is made up. I'm going over to the old man's home and see if they'll take me.
You'll do nothing of the sort. I'm going right out and meet Richard and tell him your problem. And Al and Irma. If you get any more brainstorms, crawl under the bed until it blows over. Now remember.
There, Professor. We still have hope. Why don't you come downstairs with me and I'll give you a nice cup of hot tea?
Well, that's a good idea. I ate one of Irma's biscuits an hour ago, and if there's anything that will dissolve a rock, it's your tea. Let's go.
That Jane. Just because we bollocks things up once does not mean cannot be resurrected.
But Al, she told us to stay out.
Yeah, so she'll always be able to ridicule us. Well, when things start to go wrong, I like to go through with it. And this calls for a consultation with a great mind. And there's only one man to call.
Who, Al?
Who else but... Hello, Joe. Al. Got a problem. The professor's room has been condemned. Who do you know high up in the fire department? What? Oh, you know them all, huh? You met them through your mother. Oh, your mother is false alarm Fanny. No, Joe. That kind of a recommendation is liable to be injurious to our cause. Want to get a condemnation notice revoked. What's my move? Sounds good, Joe. Thanks a million, and goodbye, noble friend. Well, chicken, it's in the bag. We're off to see Mr. Wilkinson, the city building inspector. And when he hears my story, he's got to overrule that condemned order. Let's go, chicken.
Well, as the city building inspector, naturally I can revoke the order. But I understand the professor's room is a shambles.
Exactly. The professor paid a fortune to have it decorated that way.
Decorated? I don't understand.
We'll clarify matters. You see, Inspector, Professor Kropotkin happens to be a great author.
Indeed.
Oh, sure. Are you familiar with the book Tobacco Road?
Oh, yes.
Well, the professor's writing a sequel to it. I think he's calling it, Nicotine Lane. Naturally, when he writes, he likes the proper atmosphere.
Really?
Sure. All them great authors need the proper surroundings to write a great book. Take the dame who wrote Gone with the Wind. Understand she spent 6 months in front of an electric fan.
And I understand the woman who wrote The Snake Pit spent 3 weeks in the zoo.
No, chicken. The Snake Pit is about the insane.
Well, anyone who would spend that much time in the zoo couldn't be in their right mind.
Well, that's another story. Inspector, take my word for it, the professor's a great author and had his room especially decorated the way it is. Why, I understand he spent $30 for termites alone. But that's because he's a real genius and will not settle for any substitutes.
Well, geniuses and books are a little out of my line, but I can see where a man like that would like atmosphere. All right, I'll put a cancel order through.
Thank you, Inspector Wilkinson. And who knows, someday the professor may dedicate a book to you. Good day.
Jane.
Hello, sweetie.
Al, Should we tell her the good news?
Go on, chicken.
Oh, wait, I have good news for you. I saw Richard, and he's going to use his influence to see that the professor is taken care of.
Ha, ha.
Ha, ha. What are you two braying about?
Shall I tell her, chicken?
Go ahead, Al. Oh, and Jane, you better put a tight scarf around your neck because when you hear what we did, you're going to laugh your head off.
Well, of all the... Come in.
Hello, Janie. Oh, there you are, Irma and Al. I could kiss you both.
Thanks, Professor. We'll just shake hands.
Jamie, have they told you what they did?
No, but I've just had an aspirin, so go ahead.
But I don't know how they did it or what they told the building inspector. But their order condemning my room has been revoked, and now I got my room back.
See, Jane, your Richard isn't the only one who can get things done. My Al isn't half the dummy you think he is. He's 100%.
Hey, thanks, chicken.
Tell me, Al, how did you do it?
Very simple. Told him you was an author and you had the room made that way because you wanted it as a background for your writing.
How do you like that? Me, an author, I can hardly write English.
Well, I suppose it's all right as long as it did the trick, but it was unnecessary because Richard fixed everything up.
Always like to depend on myself. Then know nothing can go wrong.
Come in.
How do you do? The landlady told me I might find Professor Kropotkin here.
I'm Professor Kropotkin. What can I do for you, please?
Professor Kropotkin! Oh, at last, face to face with a famous author.
Well, that all depends. Whose face am I facing?
Well, I'm chairman of the Ladies' Fiction Club, and I've taken the liberty of promising our ladies that you'd speak before them this afternoon.
Oh.
Is something wrong?
I just remembered I have a terrible case of laryngitis. I couldn't speak a word.
But I just heard you.
Well, you see,
That wasn't the professor, lady. I've been doing the talking. You see, I'm a ventriloquist.
Yes, you know one of those men that use a dummy. We're engaged.
Oh, I know you're all trying to humor me out of making the professor address our club. But I thought he'd be glad to do it from the way my husband talked.
Your husband?
Yes, Inspector Wilkinson of the City Building Department.
Aye.
Yes, I'm Mrs. Wilkinson, and our literary club meets at 4. Of course, I can't force you to lecture to us, Professor. I'll just tell Mr. Wilkinson you don't think it worthwhile. Do whatever makes you happy. Goodbye.
So, Al, you fixed things up again. Professor, what are you doing near that window?
I'm gonna jump out. The lady told me to do anything that's making me happy.
Oh, and after Richard had it all fixed up. Now his influence won't help if they find out that Al and Irma lied. Why did the two of you have to butt in?
Well, it looked like one of those occasions where I could outwit the man.
But, Al, you've no business going into battle only half equipped. Now what are we going to do?
I don't know. It's a cold day, and tonight it will be worse. Why did you have to say I was a writer? You could have said I was an explorer. Then I could have shown them some of the stuffed animals I trapped in my room.
Well, I don't know what to suggest. If she tells her husband you refuse to speak, he'll reissue the condemned order, and then, well, you know.
Yes, it'll be the old man's home for me. Well, I got only one alternative. I'll go down and lecture to the ladies.
But, well, what will you talk about?
Who knows? But there will be a lot of heart in my speech, because when I'm up there, it's going to be in my mouth.
Well, we're all sitting here waiting for the professor to come back from his lecture. Why are we all here? Because I refuse to let Irma and Al leave. They got the professor into this thing, and when the roof falls in on him, I think they should have the honor of carrying him out.
Oh, gosh, Jane, everything's going to be all right. I don't see why you're so fidgety.
No? Well, what about yourself?
I'm not nervous.
Well, then, for heaven's sake, take those bobby pins off your ears and put them back in your hair. Come in.
Hello, everybody. Look at me, Kropotkin, the author.
You mean you convinced them?
Of course.
Well, how'd you do it?
Very simple, Emma, very simple. They asked me to describe my new book, and I told them it was about a little town that had been completely wrecked by a terrible tornado. And when I described in horrible details, they said they'd never heard a better lecture. They cry, they weep, they sob.
Why, that's wonderful. But, Professor, I didn't know you had ever been in a tornado.
I didn't have to be in a tornado. I just described my room.
Don't think that you are safe from film. Nearly everyone has it. Just run your tongue over your teeth. If you feel a slippery coating, that's film. And you'd better get Pepsodent toothpaste to remove it. For film collects stains that make teeth look dull. It harbors germs that cause unpleasing breath. Film glues acid to your teeth. The very acid that many dentists agree is the cause of tooth decay. And remember, film never lets up. So brush your teeth twice a day with film-removing Pepsodent. No other toothpaste can duplicate Pepsodent's film-removing formula. Get Pepsodent with Irium today.
Back in his room, and you know, we all feel a little wonderful about it. Mrs. O'Reilly celebrated by going out and getting the new short bob, and the professor wanted to know if she had looked into the electric fan. So, all is well with the world again. Al and Irma are on the sofa. He has given her a lifesaver, and she is trying to slip it onto her finger. That's as close as she'll ever come to getting an engagement ring. Irma, I am going to bed.
Oh, but Jane, you haven't seen my new veil yet.
Veil?
Yes, I'm going to wear it into the office because my boss says the less he sees of me, the better he likes it.
And you know, if I live to be 1,000,000, I'll never see anyone like my friend Irma.
My Friend Irma is produced and directed by Cy Howard. Park Levy writes the script with Stanley Adams and Roland McLean, and it's brought to you by Pepsodent Toothpaste with Irium, another fine product of Lever Brothers Company. Marie Wilson is starred as Irma, with Joan Banks as Jane. The part of Al was played by John Brown. Hans Conreid was heard as Professor Kropotkin, and Gloria Gordon as Mrs. O'Reilly. Music was under the direction of Lud Gluskin. Your contribution to CARE will guarantee delivery of much-needed food and clothing to those who are suffering in Europe this winter. In many countries, malnutrition and disease are still widespread, and many millions of people are living today on inadequate diet. Mail your contribution to CARE, C-A-R-E, New York City. In Canada, the address is 193 Spark Street, Ottawa. This is Wendell Niles speaking.
B-R-I-S-K, brisk flavor. That's what you get in Lipton tea. Yes, brisk flavor that picks you up, brings you back alive in a hurry. Brisk flavor that comes from Lipton's very special blending of the finest orange pekoe and pekoe teas. Try it. You'll find that this brisk flavor of Lipton's leaves you refreshed and ready to go again. And you can enjoy it often, because even wonderful tea like Lipton's costs less than any drink except water. Always ask for Lipton tea, the brisk tea with that heartwarming Lipton lift.
Tune in 1 hour earlier next week and listen to the Lux Radio Theater, followed by the Pepsodent Show, My Friend Irma. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
75 years ago, January 31st, 1949, My Friend Irma here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Coming up tomorrow, we will have Edwin Polly in Big Town. We'll also have Jack Webb in Dragnet. We will have The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, The Lives of Harry Lime starring Orson Welles, an episode of Mr. District Attorney, and The Adventures of Jungle Jim. Coming up next, though, Ronald and Benita Coleman, The Halls of Ivy, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit our webpage to help support the show. That's at classicradio.stream. Classicradio.stream.
Dear Ralph, I am writing to tell you that I have reached a decision about what we should do.
Dear Mom, our platoon was on bivouac last week, so this is my first chance to write.
Dear Eddie, thanks for inviting me to your party. I had a very good time, and
The letters we write are so important to us and to the people who are waiting for them. So when you write, take the extra 3 seconds required to add zip code to the mailing address. Zip code helps improve mail service, helps our postal workers to sort mail faster and deliver it by more direct routes. That's why zip belongs on every mailing address, and on your return address, too, so others can easily zip their mail to you. Help improve mail service by using zip code. It will bring you a little bit closer to everyone you know.
Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues on this Wednesday with an episode of The Halls of Ivy. This episode about Professor Warren's retirement was originally brought, and by the way, the Colemans were both known as dramatic actors. It wasn't until they worked with Jack Benny and as his pseudo-neighbors, his neighbors in the context of the radio show, that people knew that they actually had some comedic chops. And so that's how Ronald and Benita Coleman got The Halls of Ivy. This episode, as I said, 73 years ago, January 31st, 1951, about Professor Warren's retirement.
Good evening. This is Ronald Coleman, inviting you to join Mrs. Coleman and me for the next half hour when our sponsor, the Joseph Schlitz Brewing Company of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, presents The Halls of Ivy.
If you like good beer, do as millions of people are doing all over the country. Ask for Schlitz, the beer that made Milwaukee famous. Schlitz tastes so good to so many people that it's the largest selling beer in America. It has to be fine to be first. And now, The Halls of Ivy. With all the halls of ivy that surround us here today. Welcome again to Ivy. Ivy College, that is, in the town of Ivy, USA. It's one of those nights that makes home a real haven. Dr. William Todhunter Hall, president of Ivy, is thankful to be home at last after a dinner meeting of the board to don his dressing gown and slippers and join his wife Victoria before the fireplace.
Ah, that's better. Now, blow winds and crack your cheeks. Rage, blow. You cataracts and hurricanes, spout till you have drenched our steeple.
We could use a couple more shingles in our steeple. I've got 3 pans catching the water in the kitchen. Well, did you have a boisterous evening with the boys?
Rather, let us say, a boring meeting with the board. All their dinner meetings follow the same revolting pattern. First, the preliminary and quite false inquiry into one another's health, with no one listening to the answers. Then, a few firm opinions of our national administration, and then a fruit cocktail.
Ah, the good old fruit cocktail, without which any dinner party would be a much happier one.
Oh, it's not the fruit cocktail I object to. In fact, I rather like it. No, it's that inevitable, omnipresent, unavoidable, and uninspired one-half of a maraschino cherry. Why a half? Can't anyone afford a whole maraschino cherry? Are the fruity resources of this plundered planet so far reduced?
No, it's a matter of stability, darling. Oh, yes. You know, whole ones roll around. A half cherry stays put.
I know, but I couldn't keep my mind on the business side.
Why not?
That half of a cherry. I counted the members present. 9 of us. 9 half cherries, or 4.5 cherries accounted for. Where was the other half of a cherry? What are they saving it for? A fruitcake? Oh, do they think that I'll take it. That'll be something Wellman just remembered he should have said at the meeting, but didn't. Hello? Dr. Hall speaking.
Evening, Dr. Hall. This is Warren.
Oh, good evening, Professor. How are you?
Satisfactory. Say, maybe you can do me a favor. You know a passage from Santa Ana about life flowing and stuff, which begins, seeds, blood, and tears are liquid?
It's vaguely familiar.
You got Santa Ana in your house?
Yes. I'm sure there's one tucked away in the library.
Good. Some light-fingered member of the literati borrowed mine. I don't remember who. I'd like the complete passage from an 8 o'clock class tomorrow morning. You mind if I totter over and pick up your copy?
Well, I'd be delighted to see you, Professor, but in a storm like this, only the wayward daughters of stern fathers are being driven out. But if you want to hold on a minute, I'll read the passage to you.
Fine, if it's not too much bother.
Not at all, just hold on.
I'll talk to him while you hunt, Toddy. He's my oldest boyfriend.
Good, Vicky.
Hello, Professor Warren.
Why, good evening, Mrs. Hall.
Where have you been hiding? You promised to drop by and see us during the holidays. Now, I've got a lot of blank paragraphs in my diary.
Oh, my apologies, Mrs. Hall. But you see, I usually crawl into solitude on such occasions. Christmas, I hang up an old sock and put a horn in it, which I take out on New Year's Eve. At the stroke of midnight, I look in the mirror and blow 1 toot at myself and go to bed.
Well, sometime you bring it over here. I never heard you blow your own horn, Professor.
You can put that down to natural shyness and shortness of wind, lady. Not to any lack of conceit. Otherwise,
Vicky.
I wouldn't even...
Vicky.
Oh, excuse me, Professor. Yes, Toddy?
Have you seen Santa Ana lately?
Well, no, dear. We'll call you back, Professor Warren.
All right.
Yeah, there's a philosopher named Santayana lost in our library, and we're forming a posse.
All right, bye.
Goodbye.
Here we are. Oh, did you hang up? I just found it.
Oh.
Now, if I can locate that passage, it must be in the essay on... Let me see some... Oh, here. Here it is. Now, what's his phone number? Well, that's odd. I've called him up often enough.
Well, I'll look it up.
Wait. Cedar 2655. No, that doesn't sound like it. I remember that much too easily. It must be wrong.
Of course, I know it's ridiculous. And it's the last thing anybody would ever be caught at. And I'm a flighty woman even to suggest it. But how about trying the phone book?
No, not for Warren. He'd insist on being unlisted if he were the head of the fire department.
Well, let's find out. I like to look through the phone directory anyway. The one book I can lay down any time without wondering what happens next. Warpack. Here we are, Warren. Warren, is it Joseph?
Yeah, that's right, Joseph Warren.
So he isn't listed. Nah. Here it is. Joseph Warren. Cedar, 7211.
Ah, good. Thank you, darling. Cedar. C-E... What was that? Cedar what?
Oh, Toddy. Now, Warpack, Warren, all the way to... Cedar, 7... 2... 1.
1. Hello?
Hello?
Sorry to have kept you waiting. Have you got a pencil handy?
Sure, shoot.
All right, here it is. Seeds, blood, and tears are liquid. Nothing else is so poignant as what passes and flows, like music and love.
Huh?
And if this irreparable fluidity is sad, anything stark and arrested is sadder. Life is compelled to flow, and things must flow with it. Or, like Lot's wife, in the petrified gesture of refusal, remain to mock their own hopes. That's what you wanted, isn't it?
Lot's wife. Hey, listen, Mac. I'll go along with the gag any time, but I'm rushed tonight, see? There's 6 customers waiting and 6 Warren burgers on the griddle.
Warren burgers? To whom am I talking?
This is Joe Warren's diner. If you won't come to us, we'll come to you. I ain't with Now, what'll you have?
I'm sorry. Nothing tonight, thank you.
Rum, Warren?
Yes. This one sells something called Warren Burgers. A banquet in a bun. I'll wager there's not half a maraschino cherry within sneering distance.
Sounds interesting. I'm sorry you didn't order a couple.
Well, I thought of it, believe me. But first things first, darling. What is Professor Warren's phone number?
Oh, it must be somewhere in your desk. Let's look now.
Cedar. I'm sure it was cedar. Or was it walnut? Or maple? Was it evergreen or deciduous?
Here's your address book. RSTUVW. Professor J. Warren, 82 Piazza Barberini, Rome, Italy.
Oh, now, Vic. That's a leftover from Warren's sabbatical leave in 1937. Now, wait. Here's a... I'm up. I'll go. Professor Warren.
Evening, Dr. Hall, Mrs. Hall.
Oh, come in, Professor. You must be frozen.
In the recent jargon of our undergraduates, baby, it's cold outside. Thank you. We'll sit down.
Well, I'm sorry you had to walk over in this weather, Professor. I was trying to get you on the phone.
Yes, I know. You see, Burgess always takes over the moment I hang up. You should see my phone bill. You'd think I was the voice of America.
Burgess, who's he?
He's a her.
Oh.
It's Miss Burgess. She's my housekeeper. I'm willing her to the Smithsonian Institute. They'll hang her up on the ceiling under the port wing of the Spirit of St. Louis. Did you find the Santa Ana?
Yes, I did, and the quotation.
Good. That's worth 2 blocks in a blizzard.
Well, now that you're here, take off your coat and mittens and stay a while.
Thank you, Mrs. Hall. Wanted to speak to you, too, anyway. You busy Saturday night?
No, I don't think so, are we, Vicky?
Well, the Browning Society wanted you to read for them.
Let them get Browning. They've had guest speakers deader than he is.
Well, it appears we have a free evening.
Good. I thought we might have a quiet dinner, just the 3 of us, at Tony's out on the River Road. You know, I'm leaving Ivy next month.
Leaving? Oh, William, you didn't tell me.
Well, I was hoping he wouldn't. I made him an offer to stay on.
Mrs. Hall, I am superannuated. In Navy parlance, I'm to be decommissioned, coated with cosmoline, and nudged up the river to join the rest of the mothball fleet. I am disqualified because of old age.
Oh, now, you know it's not a question of disqualification, Professor. The retirement age is automatic. It's certainly wrong in your case, but regulations are never made for exceptions.
And you're always an exception, aren't you, Professor Warren? Why, you've built quite a reputation on it.
Mrs. Hall, I've always believed that if you travel with the crowd, you're liable to get your mind picked. But I think this retirement thing might be a good idea in my case. Out of sheer inertia, I'd probably have stayed on here till it dried up and blew around the campus, dirtying the front steps of Clarence Wellman Hall on rainy afternoons.
Well, in that case, there would be more brains outside than inside. Now, what are your plans, Professor?
Nothing definite. Might go to Tibet.
Tibet?
That forbidden land where the foreign devil is not permitted to set foot, unless he is one of 4,000 writers with camera and ballpoint pen who goes home and writes a book on how impossible it would be for anybody else to do what he did.
Well, personally, I wouldn't go any place I had to get to on a high llama.
Don't you mean a low llama, Vicky? You visit the high one. Before you ride off into the sunset, Professor, I want to ask a favor. You will help Professor Dickinson get acquainted with your department, won't you? You know, he's just getting settled, and there'll be a lot you can tell him.
Yes, there's plenty I could tell Professor Dickinson if he'd listen. But he's not interested in my ideas, and frankly, I don't like his either.
Well, since you put it that way, frankly, perhaps it's just as well to skip it.
It is just as well. We'd wind up behind the science building at dawn. Pistols for 2 and breakfast for 1. I've taken up enough of your evening. Just hand me my coat and mittens, and I'll be on my way.
Yes, here you are.
Thank you. No, Mrs. Hall, don't come to the door. You'll freeze. Good night.
Good night.
Professor Warren.
Don't forget about Saturday, Doctor, about 7.
Oh, thanks very much. We'll be looking forward to it.
Good night.
Good night.
I love that man. But he never stays put. He just gets started talking and then he pops out and runs off.
You know, I never dreamt it was possible that Warren could reconcile himself to retirement so easily. He's an old war horse, and I thought he'd die rather than leave his stable.
Oh, Toddy, here's the Santayana. He's forgotten to take
Oh,
it.
you better give it to me. I'll drop it by his house. Now, where did I put my overshoes?
Oh, you're not going out in this weather.
Yes, I am. I've been thinking seriously about those banquets on buns, those Warren burgers. And I've come to a decision.
Oh, well, that's quite different. Make it do with everything, darling. You hurry back.
So, you forgot your key again, huh?
I beg your pardon?
Oh, I thought it was the professor. Who is it?
Isn't Professor Warren in?
You haven't answered my question yet. Who are you?
Well, I'm Dr. Hall, Miss Burgess.
Oh, that's different. I know you. Come in, Doctor. I thought the professor was over to your house.
Well, he was. I thought he was coming back here.
Oh, that man out gallivanting around the town for half the night again. He'll catch his death. For the last month, he's been wandering around Ivy at all hours of the night like he'd never seen it before.
Professor Warren has a deep affection for Ivy.
Then why are you throwing him out?
Good heavens, we're not throwing him out, Miss Burgess. None of us want to see him go. But after all, how can you blame him for wanting to travel and see some of the world now that he has the freedom to do so?
See the world? Why, he hasn't even got bus fare from here to Kansas City.
He hasn't? Well, since you know so much about him, perhaps you can tell me what his real plans are.
He's moving in with his sister and her no-good husband up at Rock County. He's got no place else to go. Do you think he's too old for his job, too?
No. He's merely too old for our regulations. Oh, that needn't mean the end of things. There's a place for him here at Ivy. He can be a visiting professor as long as he'll stay. But you know as well as we do that nobody's ever been able to force him to do anything. It must be his choice.
Well, I know one thing. He can't just sit here looking out the window at the cemetery where he'll be buried someday. Only he won't be buried. Says he wants to be cremated in Emerson Hall.
Cremated in Emerson Hall?
Yes. Says it'll be the first time he was ever warm in that building.
When there's beer on your mind, your best thought is Schlitz, the beer that made Milwaukee famous. More people like the taste of Schlitz than any other beer. That's why Schlitz is the largest selling beer in America.
It was Goethe, the great poet of a bygone day, who said, "One ought, every day at least, to hear a little song, read a good poem, see a fine picture, and, if it were possible, to speak a few reasonable words." Now, taking our cue from Mr. Goethe, let's speak a few reasonable words on the subject of beer. In beer, as in a poem, a picture, or a song, there can be no substitute for quality. And there can be no higher tribute to the quality of Schlitz beer than this. So many people like the taste of Schlitz so well that they've made it the largest selling beer in America. Yes, the taste of Schlitz is winning more and more new friends every day. So if it's been some time since you've tasted Schlitz beer, you owe yourself that pleasure again. Next time, ask for Schlitz, the beer that made Milwaukee famous. Then you, too, will discover it has to be fine to be first.
That surround us here today.
As we return to Ivy, Dr. and Mrs. Hall are the dinner guests of Professor Warren at a roadhouse a few miles outside of town.
How am I doing, Mrs. Hall? Bet you didn't know I danced so divinely, did you?
This is the first chance you've given me to find out.
Well, it's not something I usually talk about, but I once wanted to be a ballet dancer. Twinkle Toes Warren, the boy in the velvet pants.
You paint a lovely picture. What stopped you?
Too many feet. In a more rational moment, I swapped my patent leather pumps for a set of Plutarch.
Oh, what happened to the boy who got the pumps?
He owns a filling station outside of Baltimore. That's fate, I guess. If you're born to the pumps, you're going to get them. Oh, say, I'm sorry that's over. Dibs on the next waltz, Mrs. Hall.
By all odds, the most talented couple on the floor.
There was a time, Dr. Hall, when Irene Castle was my favorite dancer. But in her foxiest trot days, she couldn't hold a candle to your wife.
Oh, Irene Castle, how long ago was that?
Oh, don't ask me for any contemporary dates, Mrs. Hall. Dates, I mean. If you ask me for those of Constantine and Theodosius, I could give them to you. But as far as my own personal chronicle goes, I don't even know what year I was born.
What, you do... Oh, wait a minute. Then how do you know you're 65?
I don't. Never had a birth certificate. Or if I did, I lost it. During the First World War, when I had to produce one, I discovered that the town hall of Centerville, Ohio, had long since burned down. So I just picked a good round birth year, and now I'm stuck with it. Looks like it was not a winning number either.
Oh, I'm not so sure. Professor, you've just set your clock back. I'll take this up with the Board of Governors tomorrow. For all anybody knows, you're a boy of 21.
Well, thanks, Doctor. Thank you very much, but it's no good. I don't think I'd enjoy borrowed time.
Time is community property. Help yourself.
No, I appreciate your good intentions, but you don't know how well off you're going to be without me. This Professor Dickinson, there's a boy you won't have any trouble with. He'll go to all the teas, make all the proper little speeches, be nice to all the right people.
All the social amenities here are well enough taken care of, but the heart of Ivy is the classroom. And that's where your heart has always been.
Right now, my heart's in the Highlands.
Boy, you told us you were going to Mexico City or all points south.
Well, I've changed my plans again. I've decided to go down to Rio first. Thought I might get myself a cabana on the beach and just bask in the sun. Funny thing, I don't believe I've ever basked.
Well, I admit the prospect is very attractive, with all the snow we've had this winter.
Well, when you're approaching winter yourself, that's the time you start looking for summer everywhere. That's why I'm heading south. I'm a fine host, spending the whole evening talking about myself. Here, let me fill your glasses. It's milk from Contented Vineyards.
Thank you. Well, here's a toast. Courtesy of Thoreau. To him whose elastic and vigorous thought keeps pace with the sun, the day is a perpetual morning.
Good morning, everybody. Bottoms up. Dr. Hall, may I please have this dance?
Of course, darling. Will you excuse us, Professor?
Well, this one you may have, Doctor. But remember, the waltz is mine.
Toddy, we can't let him leave Ivy.
Yes, but how to make him stay?
Yes, if only he weren't being so gay about it all. It'd be much more like him to get into a fury at you and Ivy and everybody letting him go.
We don't want to let him go. We're only... Vicky, that's the answer. You've given me the only good idea I've had all day. You think they'd throw us out if I kissed you?
Well, if they do, you can kiss me again on the sidewalk.
Excuse me, Professor. I'm on the phone, Vicky. Yes, go ahead, Professor Dickinson. And what did he say? He did? Well, so far, so good. You've been very cooperative, Professor, and we're all obliged to you. As long as you're willing to be the heavy, I think we can make Professor Warren see the light. Yes, I'll let you know. Goodbye. Vicky, I think we're in for a big win.
That's what we wanted, wasn't it? But we still don't know which way it's going to blow.
Dickinson's already got the first blast, and it came from the expected direction. He said it was a real twister.
Oh, by the way, darling, you wanted me to remind you. Did you send the telegram?
Which one?
For the 100th anniversary of Northwestern University.
Oh, yes, I sent one to Rocky Miller, and one to President Daniel Marsh of Boston University. It's his silver anniversary, and he's retiring.
What'd you say? Did you quote Washington's farewell to his men? Quote, "So long, fellas," unquote?
No. I said, and I quote, "Dear Dan, hail and farewell on your silver anniversary. Expect you to be snapped up immediately by private industry. as the inventor of a silver product that can never be tarnished. Warmest regards, Bill Hall.
Oh, that's nice. Yes. I'll get it. Yes?
Good morning. I'd like to see the president. I'm Miss Burgess. You're Mrs. Hall. Pleased to meet you. Heard a lot about you. All good.
William, there's someone here.
Oh, Miss Burgess. Well, good morning. Won't you sit down?
I've just come over to let you know that the professor's leaving on the 3:00 train today. You've got to stop him.
Miss Burgess, that's exactly what we're hoping to do.
Hope never stopped a railway train. Are you just going to sit back here and do nothing?
Well, Professor Warren has an excellent mind of his own. And now we'll undoubtedly hear him speak a piece of that mind.
You mean he's here?
Unless the wind's changed, he's at the door right now.
Vicky, you and Mrs. Burgess run for cover.
Yes, come into the kitchen with me until the weather clears up. It's just a local disturbance.
Well, Professor Warren, come in.
You might as well know it, Dr. Hall. I have a ticket on the 3:00 train out of here today. But something happened this morning. A thing called Dickinson.
No, something happened to Professor Dickinson?
Something happened? The man's lost his mind. Have you any idea what that lemonhead is planning to do to my history department?
Yes, I'm aware of his plan.
You're not going to let him get away with it?
I don't understand what you mean. I have the highest esteem for Professor Dickinson, both as a scholar and as an administrator.
Oh, you have you?
Uh-huh.
Well, that's your job, I guess. You got to please everybody. Professional etiquette. Well, I don't work here anymore, and I can speak my mind. If that man goes ahead with what he's doing, well, that's the end.
If you think it's that serious, Professor, I think you should give me more specific reasons.
He's chopping the whole curriculum up into little bitty pieces. There isn't one single class to put them all together so they make any sense. What's history? History is continuity. Some people claim that history is a bunch of lies agreed upon, and maybe it is. But even so, without continuity, without relevance, history is a bunch of dates on cornerstones and names on tombstones.
Oh, yes, I know that, Professor, and I don't believe Dickinson would have any quarrel with it.
And why hasn't he scheduled at least one class on the meaning and interpretation of history?
Oh, as I understand it, he is omitting such a class at the present, primarily because there is no one available here to teach it. Accordingly, he is going to concentrate on a more thorough grounding in the basic source material.
Source material, my Aunt Mabel's bustle. I know what he's really up to. He's a Toynbee man. Well, I'm not.
Now, don't sell Toynbee short. He's probably the outstanding historian of our time.
I didn't say he wasn't any good. Just don't agree with him. And I'd hate to see Ivy's history department represent only one point of view. That's not learning, it's memorizing.
Well, I don't want any department at Ivy to present only one point of view.
Well.
However, if there is no one here to replace you and your approach, I can't expect him to teach history your way.
Well, he's got 3 men in that department that could take over.
They already have assignments.
Oh, they have?
Uh-huh.
So Dickinson is going to muzzle them with that source material nonsense of his. You think I'd enjoy basking on the beach at Rio knowing this was going on? That the kids here were only getting one side of a subject? Your offer still go?
Of course. I've never withdrawn it.
I can stay on? No permanent status? No strings attached?
That's right.
All right, then, I'm back.
Welcome home, my friend. I'll tell Dickinson to schedule your course, but naturally I won't say anything about your opinion of his ideas.
You won't have to. He knows him. Now I'm off. Got to be down at the station and get a refund on my ticket. The fare to South America, you know, is not just coat hangers.
Goodbye, Professor.
So long. Say hello to Mrs. Hall. Last evening was very pleasant. I wish I could say as much for this morning. Dickinson is a lousy dancer.
I couldn't hear everything, Toddy, but he certainly sounded angry.
He got so angry, he decided to stay here at Ivy.
How do you feel?
Ruthless, conniving, despicable, and delighted.
Oh, I can't tell you how glad I am, Doctor. The professor sounded like his old self. He hasn't hollered that loud in a whole year. How'd you ever do it?
Oh, I just went back 65 years in my time machine.
Yes, and burned down the city hall in Centerville, Ohio, with all the birth records.
Doctor, for a firebug, You burn a real hot match.
Thank you, Miss Burgess. Officiating at the accouchement of Professor Warren's new birth date makes me feel a little like a statistical midwife, but I'm glad he'll spend his newfound youth with us. It seems, as Sir Walter Raleigh said, that history has triumphed over time.
When there's beer on your mind, your best thought is Schlitz, the beer that made Milwaukee famous. More people like the taste of Schlitz than any other beer. That's why Schlitz is the largest selling beer in America.
Here again are Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
We'll be seeing you next week at this same time at the Halls of Ivy, starring Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman. The other players were Verna Felton, Arthur Q. Bryan, and Sidney Miller. Tonight's script was written by Barbara and Milton Merlin and Don Quinn. The Halls of Ivy was created by Don Quinn, directed by Nat Wolfe, and presented transcribed by the Joseph Schlitz Brewing Company of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who invites you to enjoy the Pulitzer Prize Playhouse on television on Friday nights. Ken Carpenter speaking.
A delightful show, The Halls of Ivy, from 73 years ago, January 31st, 1953, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. A weird show in many perspectives. Art Linkletter's People Are Funny will be up next.
Hear Santa's sleigh bells tinkling sound while carol singers gather round. Swirling snowflakes fluff the ground. What a perfect Christmas. Like Old Man Winter's cherry nose, each tiny face just beams and glows. Tucked in bed with snuggly toes. What a perfect Christmas. Here's a cute fat doll, a bright red bike. You'll get what you asked for, maybe. Here's a robe for Dad, I hope he'll like, and mittens for the baby. These other gifts beneath our tree were mailed in time and properly. The zip code plainly marked to see. Oh, what a perfect, what a perfect, what a perfect Christmas.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. By the way, visit our webpage, classicradio.stream, to help support the program. Tomorrow, Big Town, Dragnet, Sherlock Holmes, The Lives of Harry Lime, Mr. District Attorney, and The Adventures of Jungle Jim. Right now, though, Art Linkletter's People Are Funny. And let's listen to this show as it was broadcast January 31st, 1950.
Hey, Cinderella is here at last. And wait till you see what we're going to do for her on People Are Funny. Yes, that's time from Hollywood, John Goodell's production of People Are Funny, brought to you by Raleigh Cigarettes. Smokers, does your cigarette pack have a coupon on its back, good for valuable premiums? It does if you're smoking Raleigh cigarettes, the only pack with a coupon on its back. Raleigh's, America's greatest cigarette value. And now, here is radio's top master of ceremonies, Art Linkletter.
Well, hello there, and thank you for the generous applause. Yes, we have more news tonight from the Portuguese fisherman who found the first plastic ball that we dropped in the Atlantic Ocean more than a year ago. Remember, a few weeks ago he found the ball off the coast of the little island where he lives in the Azores. It's worth $2,000 to him. And ever since then, we've been trying to get him to come to Hollywood. But get this, he doesn't want to come. He can't believe he's going to get a $2,000 prize. Thinks it's all a trick. Yes, people are funny. And Rod O'Connor, who's first to prove it on the show tonight?
Mr. Robert Peterwright from North Hollywood, meet Art Linkletter.
Hello, Bob.
Hello, Art.
Great big tall fella. How tall are you, Bob?
6'6".
6'6". You know, it's good that you're big and strong and young, because in the next half hour you may meet the angriest person you've ever seen. Don't worry, I'm insured. Now, Bob, first of all, we'd like to start you off with a carton of Raleigh cigarettes. That's the pack with the coupon on the back. Married or single?
Married.
What's business he in?
Television appliances.
Have any little ones?
No.
How long you been married now, Bob?
7 months.
And you... First time you ever been on one of these kind of shows? Little
yes,
nervous?
it is. Oh, slightly.
Oh, it's really easy. You're in the salesmanship line, aren't you? You sell
Yes.
things?
Mhm.
There's a lot of funny and interesting stunts for people selling various things. Have you ever heard of the gag where the kitchenware manufacturers who put out utensils send salesmen out to private homes to cook what they call free demonstration dinners for the families?
Yes, I have.
That certainly is an interesting way to sell things, isn't
Oh,
it?
it is. Yes, sir.
It just so happens that we know of a family in a nearby neighborhood who are having just such a dinner prepared for them, and the date was set last week by a salesman from the company, and the man who's been working on the meal is here now to tell us what's been going on. Mr. Herbert Litton, what have you been doing for the last couple of hours, Mr. Litton?
Well, I went over to this lady's house and made preparations for her dinner.
You didn't tell her you were the cook?
Oh, no. I told her that the boss, Chef Pierre, would be over the main part of the meal at 7 o'clock. I told him it was a terrific 7-course dinner.
Oh, and they were all ready and excited. The family was there.
A lot of guests.
A lot of guests, huh?
Uh-huh.
You say you started preparations?
That's right.
What did you do?
Well, I went to the kitchen and started cooking cabbage and sauerkraut and a big skillet of fried onions and garlic. Boy, what a smell.
The whole joint was really steaming, huh?
Right.
What else did you do? You were out there in the kitchen practically alone.
Yes, it just so happened I spilled a sack of flour on the floor, upset a can of tomato juice, and accidentally broke several dishes.
Well, what about the lady of the house? Did she object to all this?
Well, she wasn't any too happy about it.
In other words, this demonstration, the guests are out in the living room right now.
Yes, a lot of them there.
Well, what did you finally do when you got into an awful mess in the kitchen?
Well, I told her that Chef Pierre, the boss, would be over soon and straighten the whole matter out.
Uh-huh. And then you quit and walked out of the house?
That's right.
What time did you tell her Chef Pierre would arrive?
I said 7 o'clock.
It's now 7:35. Mr. Federite, doesn't this worry you?
Why should it?
You don't listen to this program very often, do you? Why do you suppose we've been telling you all this stuff? Hello, Chef Pierre.
Oh, no.
That's you. Come on over here, boy. Now, here's the picture. Here's a lady, has a house full of guests, and worst of all, one of the guests is her husband's boss. A friend of the family who was in it with us arranged the whole mean trick on him, and now she's got nothing to serve so far except the odor of cabbages and onions. Now, what do you think she'll do when you walk in 45 minutes late and say, I'm Chef Pierre?
Probably blow her top.
Well, you haven't heard the half of it. As a matter of fact, she expects you to show up with a wonderful 7-course dinner. Have you got one handy?
No, I haven't.
Well, that's what we expected, and we're prepared for any eventuality. We have one for you. Now, what am I handing you right there?
Looks like a bottle of pills.
That's right. Now, we want you to walk in the house and say, folks, I'm Chef Pierre with a special announcement. Our company has just this day gone out of the kitchen utensil business because we have perfected a new capsule food. And then you pour out a handful of these colored pills, and you say, this little red one is a T-bone steak, and the brown one is mashed potatoes with gravy on it, and the yellow one is lemon meringue pie, and go right around the room giving each of them their 7-course dinner. What do you think will happen then?
Well, I really don't know.
You don't know? That's what we want. We don't know either. We want to find out. And the idea is that you get a big prize if you come back before the end of the show alive. You got that?
Yes, I have.
Now, by the way, try to get them to come back with you after you take the stunt as far as you can go, and that'll be your toughest job. On your way, say goodbye to them, audience.
Does your cigarette pack have a coupon on its back good for valuable premiums? It does if you're smoking Raleigh's, America's greatest cigarette value.
Well, that young man is 6, what did he say, 6'6"? I'll wager when he comes back, he's under 6 feet. Now I'm coming down in the audience, and I'd like to have some lady put up her hand who'd like to take a chance on a little stunt here. Here's a lady with pretty gray hair, and her name is
Mrs. Haskins.
Where are you from?
San Marcos, California.
And what do you do?
Housewife.
And your husband's a?
Roofer.
And you've been married for?
23 years.
Now, you're kind of a gal I like to give prizes to, and here is the interesting little game we've picked out for you. I'm going to read a list of Raleigh prizes, and you can stop me anytime you want to, and you get every prize that I've named up to that point. However, if you do not stop me before 20 seconds go by, you get nothing. You understand that? In other words, it's an interesting game. The longer you wait before you yell stop, the more prizes you get. But if you wait too long and you're too greedy, you don't get anything. You get it? Now, don't anybody help her out. It's going to go for 20 seconds. The time starts. Don't look at the watch. The time starts right now. And you get America's #1 electric shaver, a surefire cigarette lighter, a mahogany-topped coffee table, a beautiful full-size blanket.
That's it.
That's it? How many seconds?
10 seconds.
Oh, look what you missed. A new Cadillac, a brand new... Well, I might as well say it. She missed it. No, you just missed a 5-quart aluminum Dutch oven, but you did get an electric shaver, a cigarette lighter, a mahogany-topped coffee table, and a beautiful full-size blanket. And, of course, as I often say, these are really wonderful prizes, and they're all on display, as you can see up on the stage. The best of its kind, everything up there, top quality, nationally advertised. And, by the way, every one of you listeners can get these wonderful gifts we give away on People Are Funny. They're all Raleigh premiums.
Yes, it pays and pays handsomely to smoke Raleigh cigarettes. For Raleigh's and only Raleigh's give you the finest quality cigarette made, plus those famous Raleigh premiums. There are over 75 premiums. They're beautiful, and you can get them just like gifts. Just smoke Raleigh's and save the coupons. And remember,
Raleigh's are the finest quality cigarettes made. Raleigh cigarettes are richer tasting, more satisfying.
Yes, Raleigh's are America's greatest cigarette value. So always get the pack with a coupon on the back. Raleigh cigarette.
Who's next, Rod?
Mr. Ad Wild Jr. from Jackson, Mississippi. Meet Art Linkletter.
Hello, Ad.
Hello, Art.
Nice to see you. Did you ever read the story called 3 Minutes to Live?
No, I haven't.
Well, it hasn't been written yet, but you may be in it. As a matter of fact, I'll bet you've had some pretty exciting experiences in your life. What are you?
Lieutenant.
Yes, so you have Purple Heart and 2 battle stars, and you've been, what's this blue one again?
Combat Infantry badge.
Combat Infantry. You married or single?
Married.
Oh, you deserve to wear the Combat Infantry badge. In the meantime, we'd like to have you have a carton of Raleigh cigarettes. That's the pack with the coupon on the back. What you doing out here, Ad?
I'm going to catch a boat up here at San Francisco.
Where are you going to go?
I wish I knew.
You don't know, huh? They still have secret things, huh?
They haven't told me yet.
Yeah, you know where you might wind up?
I got
Oakland. That's right across the bay. Do you know who the Secretary of State of the United States of America is?
Yes, I do.
Very important man. I think we should all know him. But do you think that most people do know who he is?
Yes, his name's in the newspaper often enough.
Now, the next question, Mr. Wilde. Would you mind being hit over the head with just a flimsy paper bag?
No, not at all.
I'm glad you're cooperative. Of course, this flimsy paper bag happens to be filled with nice, juicy, cooked spaghetti. But don't worry. We don't ever do anything to anybody unless we give them a chance, first of all, to agree to the deal. Now, here's the deal. We have a man with a traveling microphone somewhere in Los Angeles waiting to ring doorbells of unsuspecting houses and ask the people there if they know the name of the Secretary of State. Now, if this man gets the correct answer to that question in 3 calls at 3 houses, you will not be hit over the head, but you will get $100 in cash from Raleigh cigarettes. And the person who answers the question will also get $100. How does that sound?
Take a chance, huh?
You will take a chance. They're putting a towel around his neck. This is what we call precautionary battle conditions. And you see the man standing up there, that's spaghetti in the bag. The man with the microphone out in Los Angeles is Stu Wilson, dressed as a tattered old broken-down bum, and the microphone is hidden in his lapel. Now, he's inside a big apartment house in Los Angeles where there are lots of people living in a close vicinity. He's about to ring the doorbell of one of the apartments. Now, remember, Ad, if he gets the correct answer in 3 calls, you get $100. If he doesn't, you get hit over the head with a big paper bag filled with cooked spaghetti. Engineer, tune in our man with the question.
There's the bell. Maybe coming to the door now. Good evening. Good evening, madam. I wonder if you would like to answer a question for me for $100. Does that sound good? Here's the 100 right here, and it's a very easy question. Oh, don't let these clothes bother you. I just happen to have a little bit, and I like to give it away. What I want to know is who is Secretary of the State of the United States?
I couldn't tell you offhand.
You couldn't tell me offhand. Well, all right. And as much as you've tried to answer anyway, this is a surprise for you. I'd like to have this $10 bill here.
Oh, well, no, I...
Oh, it's perfectly all right. Go right ahead.
No,
Don't worry about it at all. It's okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Sorry you couldn't answer.
Cut him off, engineer. See, she wouldn't even take the $10 bill. She was so embarrassed. Well, Ed, our man right now is rushing over to another door in the same apartment house, and we'll be back to him just as soon as I get the word through these earphones that he's over there. By the way, I forgot to ask you an important question. Do you like spaghetti?
No, not that.
You'll find it dribbling down over the ears. It tastes entirely different. Now, you still have 2 chances. I wonder if the next person will know the answer. It'll be worth $100 to both of you. Wait a second. Here it is. Stu Wilson's at the next door. Tune him in, engineer.
Just rang the bell. Good evening. I wanted to know if you would answer a question for me for $100. Answer a question for me for $100. Here it is right here. Well, now, you want to open up the door and I'll tell you about it. There's nothing to be alarmed about. A lady standing in the back of the door here, you're looking through the window at me. Really and truly, I would like to give you this $100 if you can answer the question. Now then, that's all right. There's nothing to worry about. And tell me, who is the Secretary of the State of the United States?
My golly, I know it so well. I read it so many times.
Well, I guess we all have. It's one of those things that sort of slips your mind. Don't you worry about these clothes I've got on. I've got a rich uncle. That's
Who is the Secretary of...
the State of the United States. Can you answer? And that's $100 right there. You can see it, I'm sure. Oh, my goodness. I wish you could, too. Well, I'll tell you what, inasmuch as you tried anyway, I want you to take along this $10 bill here.
Oh, is it sure?
It is good. You bet your life. You can even chew it if you want to.
Thanks. I'd known the question.
I wish you had, too. You knew the question. I wish you'd known the answer.
Thank you so much anyway for this.
Thank you. Appreciate having you talk with me.
I'll send a care package to Europe.
A care package to Europe? That's a wonderful thing to do with that, Dan. Okay, bye. Good night.
Cut him off while he goes to the next door. Say, maybe nobody knows who the Secretary of State of the United States is, Ed. You ever think of that?
They better.
Your last chance is coming up. Look at that. Look at that spaghetti hanging over your head. Don't feel badly. We could have put brickbats in that sack, you know.
One more chance.
One more chance. All right. Uh-oh, he's at the last door. Turn him on, engineer.
Good evening. Good evening. I wonder if I could talk to you just a second. I want to ask you whether or not you can answer a question for me for $100.
Here's somebody who can, though.
Someone who can, you think? Well, fine. Be glad to talk to whoever it is. Calling someone. Well, how do you do, sir? Here's $100 right here that I'll be glad to give to you if you can answer a question for me. But I see you have quite a few people in the room there, and I just got to make one stipulation. The answer has to come from you and not from the people back there. Do you understand that? I see you're looking me over. Well, don't worry about it because
looking at the money.
Well, I have a lot of money I like to give away like this. Don't worry about it all. Here is the question. Now, this has come from you. Remember, who is the Secretary of State of the United States?
Well, I believe his name is Atchison.
His name is Atchison.
Cut him off, engineer. Cut him off. That's right. Dean Atchison is Secretary of State. Lieutenant, you're saved. Thank goodness. Well, wait a minute. I tell you what we'll do for the fun of it. Let's hear the rest of the conversation. They're still talking. Turn them on again, engineer.
And there'll be some people very, very happy that you got the right answer. Believe me.
That's so?
Yes, sir. Here's your $100, Mr. And in as much... Hey, you're like a big dog you have there with the door open now. Here's your $100, and inasmuch it's all right. It really is.
Is that real money?
That is real money. There's no gag about this whatsoever.
What happens now?
You have a fine bunch
I
of
never
people
had
in
any
here.
luck like this in my life.
Well, you have it now. You have the $100.
Cut him off. That's enough. Lieutenant? That stranger saved you. He's looking around for the spaghetti still. That spaghetti's gone. You've been saved, and you've won for yourself and for him, by the way. $100 each from Raleigh Cigarettes. Goodbye and thanks from Raleigh. People are funny.
Does your cigarette pack have a coupon on its back good for valuable premium? It does if you're smoking Raleigh's, America's greatest cigarette value.
Well, for the past 3 weeks, Raleigh Cigarettes has conducted a secret nationwide search in factories and stores and offices, and we were looking for the Raleigh Cinderella Girl. A search inspired, by the way, by Walt Disney's new cartoon feature picture, Cinderella. And at last, she was chosen and flown to Hollywood yesterday on a TWA 300-mile-an-hour Transworld Airline Constellation. And here she is, Miss Serena McKinney of Omaha, Nebraska. Serena, come on up here, honey child. I'd like to describe for our listeners that Serena is a very pretty brunette, about 5 feet 8, 6?
5, 6.5.
5, 6.5, weighing about 127 pounds.
Oh, you flatter me. About 135.
Wearing a sweater and a black skirt and wearing rather long hair. How was your trip out, Serena?
Oh, it was just grand.
Was it first airplane trip?
Oh, yes.
Real thrill, wasn't it?
It was.
Those Connies really fly.
Oh, yes.
How old are you, by the way?
21.
And how did you happen to be picked as Cinderella? For instance, what were you doing when the man walked up?
Well, I was standing in a music store looking at some sheet music, and a gentleman walked up to me and he said, what size shoe do you wear? And I said, 6.5. And he said, well, I think you'd make a lovely Cinderella. And I thought, well, this is certainly a new line. I suppose he was trying to make a date and all that sort of thing. And so then he carried on, and I decided that he was really serious.
Where did he say he was from?
He was from Radio WOW, and he said he was looking for the entrance into the Cinderella contest.
So you sent us some pictures, and you wrote us a letter?
Yes.
And you were picked by the judges over all the other girls all over the country. Tell us, what kind of work do you do? What kind of a job do you have?
Well, I was a typist and file clerk. I'm between jobs now.
What was your salary?
About $24 a week.
Well, with whom do you live back in Omaha?
Well, I live with my mother. She works, too.
She works, too, Were you born in Omaha, Serena?
No, I was raised in the Ozarks.
An Ozark gal, eh? Let me see. Yep, she's got shoes on there. And, did you live on a farm?
Well, yes.
Did you work on the farm yourself?
Our whole family worked. We worked in the fields, baled hay and thrashed hay, and we had combine, and we also raised cows and chickens and pigs.
Well, from pigs to Hollywood, that is really that's a real Cinderella gal, and now all you have to do is to try on our magic slipper, and if it fits, Raleigh Cigarettes will try to grant your greatest wish. But first, we have a lovely Cinderella gift for you in this beautiful big box. Would you bring it up here? It's all wrapped up in blue ribbon. Would you look inside and tell us what it is? Just open the paper.
Oh!
Look what it is. It's a pumpkin and a dozen white rats. Yes. That is just like in the Cinderella story, isn't it? These are the pumpkin and the white mice, and they're going to be your coach and 4 white horses. Boys, bring me my magic wand, if you please. Cinderella, close your eyes, and when you open them, you'll see a surprise. Bibbidi, bobbidi, boo. Now, Cinderella, open your eyes and tell me what you see right here.
Oh, it's a beautiful picture of a wonderful automobile.
That great big long black limousine is going to be your special coach in Hollywood. A big beautiful Tanner limousine waiting outside NBC right now. Be at your service all the time you're in Hollywood. Any place you want to go in Southern California. And there's a man coming out from behind the picture. Oh, looks like he has a chauffeur's cap on. Would you come up, sir? Your name?
Al Lucky.
And who are you, Mr. Lucky?
I'm the Cinderella's chauffeur, ready to take her any place her heart desires.
A real chauffeur in a great big black limousine. And here comes another man now. Who are you, sir?
I am Jean-Paul from the House of Westmore.
Jean-Paul?
Cinderella's godfather.
What are you going to do for Cinderella as her godfather?
Well, already she is beautiful, but I'm going to make her a romantic hairdo. And we'll give her a manicure and also makeup, too.
You give her a real professional job, huh?
Certainly.
How do you like that, Cinderella?
That's just wonderful. Thank you so much.
And when Westmore does it, they know how to do it. And now a third man is coming from behind the picture. Who are you, sir?
Kenneth Kessler, sir.
Kenneth Kessler? And what are you going to do for Cinderella?
I am Cinderella's godfather from the Walt Disney Studios with the very Jordell gown that Cinderella wore in the picture, designed by Jordell.
And you have it right here. Would you open it up? Oh, what a gorgeous gown. Isn't that beautiful? It's all white with gold stars on it and tulle and brochure and brocades and the pendants and all the stuff. In other words, it's darn pretty. And now comes you can wear it tonight, by the way. That gown's been cut to your size. A fourth man comes out from behind the magic coach. Who are you, sir?
Wilton Snyder. I have something from Kenneth Hopkins, a surprise. 2 beautiful hats.
Well, Kenneth Hopkins' hats, let's see them. They're
to wear in the daytime.
Yes.
And another one to wear at night.
Isn't that beautiful? Well, now, isn't that nice, Cinderella? Now, let's see. There's something missing. A man. You're all dressed up and no place to go. Do you have a boyfriend at home?
Well, not seriously.
Oh, you better not. We're going to look for a Prince Charming. Would you be interested, Serena, if we introduced you to a few eligible young men to take you to some famous Hollywood spots during the week?
Oh, I certainly would. I've always wanted to go there.
Well, here comes one right now. A handsome young motion picture executive, Mr. Bob Raines.
Hello, Art. Hello, Cinderella.
Bob, where do you want to take our lovely Cinderella girl? You know all about Hollywood.
Well, suppose you go to Chasen's or some food, and we'll meet some movie stars there.
Oh,
that's your business, isn't it? All right. All right, you'll meet movie stars with Bob Raines, and here come two more escorts for you. Two leading men from RKO Studios, Mr. Steve Brody and Robert Bantry. Hiya, fellas.
Why, is that good?
Steve, how are you going to entertain her?
Well, I thought maybe if you really want to see Hollywood, we'd go to the Brown Derby.
Yeah?
You know, for a little dinner.
Yeah.
Then kind of top the evening off with a little dancing at the Hollywood Bowl.
That's
all right.
Oh, I'd love to.
Let's go to the Biltmore Bowl. The Hollywood Bowl is so empty these days.
There's so much more room.
Yes. You stay out of the Hollywood Bowl with our Cinderella. He would take her to the only place without a roof in Hollywood. Robert Bantry, where are you going to take our lovely Cinderella?
Well, I thought we'd have dinner at the Beachcombers and then go dancing at the Beverly Hills Hotel.
How do you like that, Cinderella?
I'd just love to. Thank you
These
very much.
fellas are nice and tall, too. Wait a minute, that's not all. Here comes a fourth escort for you, a famous radio, television, and picture star, Roddy MacDowell. Hello, Roddy. Well, Roddy, as certainly as an eligible bachelor, as all these men happen to be, what are you going to do with Cinderella to make her stay a happy one?
Well, I was wondering if Cinderella would like to go to the Coconut Grove for the evening.
I'd love to.
Wonderful. Fine.
Well, that takes care of you for the rest of the week, Cinderella. And we have two other surprise dates for Sunday and Monday. But wait a minute, there's one night missing. Tonight. Have you any idea who's taking you out tonight?
You?
Father of five. No, I think I'm married. But tonight, Cinderella, you get to go out with Prince Charming himself out of Walt Disney's wonderful new film version of Cinderella, the owner of the romantic voice of Prince Charming that you'll hear, Mr. William Phipps. And here he comes with white tie and tails and a box full of orchids. Mr. Phipps, this is Cinderella.
Hello, Cinderella.
Listen to that Prince Charming voice. Say hello to her again.
Hello, Cinderella.
Oh.
I'm highly honored, Cinderella. We have just 4 romantic hours between now and midnight. Shall we make the most of them?
Oh, yes.
It was never like this in Omaha. What a lovely couple. Prince Charming, where are you taking her?
I think I'll take her to Ciro's. Ciro's.
You'll have a chance to get into that formal Cinderella gown between. Yes. Have you decided upon your greatest wish, Cinderella?
Yes, I have.
All right. If it's at all possible, we'll grant your one greatest wish if the Cinderella slipper fits you. Where is the slipper we sent you?
I saw no slipper.
Well, we sent it to station WOW. Didn't they show it to you?
No, they just asked me what size shoe I wore.
Oh, they didn't try it on. Well, you don't have it with you? It must be back in Omaha. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll try to grant your greatest wish after you try on the shoe. And there's only one thing to do. We'll send back for it. And next week, we'll have it here. And will you be here?
Yes, sir.
Will you have your feet with you?
Yes.
Fine. All right. Until then, off you go, Cinderella and Prince Charming. And look at all the other wonderful escorts. And by the way, fellas, wait a minute. I have news. Cinderella. One more thing. You know the story. Escorts, if you don't get her back to the Hollywood Plaza by midnight every night, back she goes to Omaha with her pumpkin. Say, Lieutenant, would you come back up here for just a second to the microphone? Do you happen to have any change in your pocket?
Yes, sir.
Let me see the change, will you? About how much do you have? Oh, quite a bit. Now, that's fine. That's real money. Now, what am I doing right now?
Throwing my money away.
That's exactly right.
I certainly am, and that's what you and everyone else does when you don't get the most for your money. That's why I advise everyone to get the pack with the coupon on the back. Raleigh cigarettes.
and then you will be getting the most for your money. With Raleigh, you'll be getting the finest quality cigarette made, a richer tasting, more satisfying cigarette, and Raleigh is the only popular brand that gives you a bonus of profit-sharing premium coupons. That's why Raleigh's are America's greatest cigarette value. That's why you should take my advice and switch to Raleigh, the pack with the coupon on the back.
And now for the man we sent out, Mr. Peter A. He's not back yet, John?
No, not yet.
Well, he ought to be back by this time. Remember, folks, at the beginning of the show, we sent a contestant to a house in a nearby neighborhood to pretend to be a chef for a kitchenware company. And a whole house full of guests were waiting for him, including the lady's husband's boss. And the chef showed up 45 minutes late to prepare a 7-course dinner. But the dinner we gave him to serve was nothing but concentrated food pills. Has he come back yet, John?
Not here yet.
Well, I wonder what kind of trouble he must have got in over at the house. He was supposed to be back long before this. The program only has a few moments to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I might say that this has only happened twice before in the 9 years that People Are Funny has been on the air. Isn't he in sight? Well, anyway, when Mr. Peter A. gets back, if he does, Raleigh Cigarettes is going to give him $100 worth of those fine prizes over there, and the people whose house we have upset will get $150 worth. Silverware, deluxe picnic set, anything they want, if they'll only forgive us. And we'll send the whole house full of guests over to Mike Lyman's restaurant for a real 7-course dinner, if they'll even talk to us. And we'll let you know next week exactly what happened to our guest. And also next week, will the shoe fit Cinderella, and what will be her greatest wish? Be sure to tune in and find out. And now this is Art Linkletter asking,
does your cigarette pack have a coupon on its back? Good for valuable premiums?
It does if you're smoking Raleigh's, America's greatest cigarette value. Goodbye.
Give me a man who smokes a pipe. Pipe smokers look so masculine, so satisfied.
Satisfied? Yes. Especially when they smoke Sir Walter Raleigh. Richer tasting, smoother smoking, Sir Walter Raleigh.
And I like the aroma of a pipe.
Aroma. Sir Walter Raleigh is the brand of grand aroma.
Yes. Give me a man who smokes a pipe.
So, men, give the ladies a treat. Give yourselves a treat. Light up your pipe with Sir Walter Raleigh.
Next week, what will be Cinderella's greatest wish? This is Rod O'Connor saying goodbye for Raleigh's People Are Funny, transcribed from Hollywood.
People Are Funny ran on NBC and CBS from April 10th of 1942 to April 13th of 1961. It actually, a year of that, Art Baker was the host, and then Art Linkletter took over for the remainder of the series. It was a delightful evening show. And a daytime show, a variety talk show that Linkletter did, probably better known as Art Linkletter's House Party. It ran beginning in a 15-minute version in 1945. It went to 30 minutes, and ran later on into 1969. It also ran on ABC, and it was a fun little show. With a lot of things. Of course, that show was best known for its Kids Say the Darndest Things segments of the show, which were really, really fun. Alrighty, there you hear that. People Are Funny from 74 years ago, January 31st, 1950, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Up next, a fellow you might not know by name, but you know him by sight. He was a host, he was a comedian, he was a singer, and he did lots of things. Robert Q. Lewis, and that'll be up next here when Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues.
My true love's many faces, many places you see. The city, the country, the sea. Wherever my true love may take it to be. Now zip code will find her for me. true love may take it to be. Now zip code will find her for me. Oh, zip code, please find her for me.
Now, I don't know a lot about the show that you're going to hear here, other than the fact that I know Robert Q. Lewis did a lot of radio and television shows in the 50s. I believe this is a radio show, although since it came from the Armed Forces Radio and Television Service, it may actually be an oral transcription of his TV show. But let's sit back and enjoy the weird and wacky humor of Robert Q. Lewis from 66 years ago, January 31st, 1958.
Live from New York, welcome to the Robert Q. Lewis Show. Yes, it's the Robert Q. Lewis Show, brought to you every Monday through Friday at this time, featuring Judy Johnson, Richard Hayes, Ray Block and his orchestra, yours truly, Lee Vines, and tonight's special guests, Ann Thomas, Parker Fenley, and Kenny Delmar. And here's your host, Robert Q.
Thank you very much. Good evening and welcome to the show. We're glad to have you here. We have all sorts of jolly things planned, don't we? Yeah. Sure. What, Ray?
Let's do an ensemble song.
Really? Would you like to do that?
Yeah.
You mean get the whole gang together?
The whole gang.
And just make believe that we had an arrangement and everything?
That's right, and let's surprise them. Don't tell them the title even.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We better do this song pretty soon, otherwise it'll go out of style. This has to do with a sport with which we're all familiar, and it will be sung by me and the four sports, comprising, let me see, Lee Vines with a beautiful... Specs, what are you doing?
He's anxious. He's anxious.
Specs, what are you doing?
That's the way I've been trained. You know, when you say something, I have to add an accent to it.
All right, I'll say something and you add an accent. You're fired. That's the one. All right, come on, let's do this stupid song.
Rickety, rackety, rickety, rack. Cross that line, step in your back. Rickety, rackety, quite, quite, quite. Mind your passion tonight, tonight.
If you haven't got a sweetie and you wonder why you haven't got someone to love.
Someone to love.
If you haven't got a sweetie, here's the reason why you haven't got someone to love.
Someone to love.
Gentlemen from Maine to California, give me your attention while I warn ya. You gotta be a football hero to get along with the beautiful girls. You gotta be a touchdown getter, you bet.
You bet.
If you wanna get a baby to pet, the fact that you are rich or handsome won't get you anything in curls. You gotta be a football hero to get along with the beautiful girls. Maine, Wisconsin, Indiana, Illinois, and Alabama, North Dakota, South Dakota, Duke, and Georgia Tech, Michigan and Tennessee, and good old Washington and Lee, and Minnesota, soon will be a wreck. Girlfriends, you can see they have no lack of them. Wonder is just how they all keep track of them. You gotta be a football hero to get along with a beautiful girl. In spite of all $1 million can do, a tackle or two will mean more to you if you can make the winning touchdown. You'll never have to buy them pearls. You gotta be a football hero to get along with the beautiful, be strong with the beautiful, along with the beautiful girl.
Rickety, rackety, rickety, rack. Fuck that line, step in your back. Rickety, rackety, fight, fight, fight. Mind your passion tonight.
With those beautiful girls. Oh, I don't know, really. I don't know. You know what I'd... Wait, come on back a minute. You know what I would love to hear you do for a minute?
do something for me on this thing, because this is where I do the... Oh, yeah. Letter M. Now, yeah, all I want to hear is the arrangement and what you do, and leave out where I sing, because it sounds like it could be very dull.
Letter M. Yum, dum, dum, dum,
All right. Oh, don't mind us. We're all sick tonight. Sick. I want to tell you, Lee Vine's Friends is an evil companion.
That's on another network.
And so will you be if you don't stop mentioning it. Oh, folks, we did something a few days ago. I don't remember when. But it was something in which we asked for the support of our listeners for something we consider to be a truly worthy cause. It's a crusade to grow hair on Ray Bloch's head. Now, I must say that, as we expected, you folks at home have responded magnificently. Among the many, many letters of advice we've received was this one right here. Julian, do you have the stuff? Or is it under my desk here somewhere? This is from Mr. Oh, you may hold on to all of that. Just stand right there, Julian. This is Julian Wright. She's a girl. This came from Mr. Mose Williams of Ray, Georgia. Now, those of you in our studio audience can see that the bottle that Julian is holding looks like it's had something taken out of it. What happened was, I showed it to Ray, and before I had a chance to explain what it was for, he drank some of it. But we are now ready for our first experiment along the lines that I have described. And our offer still holds. $500 to anyone sending us a formula or a treatment that will grow just one hair on that barren, isolated waist atop Mr. Bloch's head. Now, Ray, I'm going to ask you to step forward, and I'm going to ask for the assistance of Miss Johnson, Mr. Hayes, and Mr. Vines in this first experiment. According to the directions, the herbs in this bottle should be applied twice daily, morning and night, and this will serve as the first night treatment. You want to smell it, Ray? You've already tasted it. Oh, never mind. Put it down now. All right. Now then, it says to massage the scalp thoroughly while using. Would you apply some, Julian, please? Gently, not too much. Now it's now being applied. And no, massage gently, Julian. Don't rub off any of that fringe. He needs that. All right. Is there enough in there now? Have you massaged? Well, did you massage, Judy? No. Oh, go ahead. Oh, not that way, dear. All right, now you massage a little bit, Richard. No, Richard. Lee, you ought to do a little something there. That's nice. Oh, he had such a nice touch. All right, now then, just to be sure the stuff won't evaporate too quickly, please take the bottle now and put that little cap on Ray's head just so it, not the cap of the bottle, no. All right, we'll let you know. Now, you use it regularly, Ray, and we'll let you know what happens. Meanwhile, we have a little gift, do we not, from Mr. Williams? Mr. Mose Williams, which we'll send to him. What are we going to do?
We have a hand-tooled carving set from India.
All right, we'll send that down to you, and thank you. Keep those hair-restoring remedies coming in, Ramblers. All right? Now then, Judy, will you remember today? Would you tell us in song how and why?
Mm-hmm. For as long as I live, dear, I'll remember today how you held me and kissed me in the tenderest way. Even though you may leave me, in my heart you will stay. Though I'm lonely tomorrow,
I'll remember today. I'll remember the music and the welcoming sky. How the sound of your voice proved the love in your eyes. So for always and always, I'll remember today how you whispered I love you in the tenderest way. Through the winds of December and the magic of May, through a million tomorrows, I'll remember today.
Very good. All kinds of nice people visiting us tonight. Lilia Lee Clausen is here. She's a student nurse at Elmhurst General Hospital. Do you mind if I read what you wrote on your card, Lilia? Is that you, Lilia? All right. She said, I am a redhead. Ah, yes, you are. Some of the other gals, student nurses, they're all at Elmhurst General, is that right? Have come to see your show for the last couple of nights. If one of us don't make the show tonight, just wait till we get you on that operating table. Robert Q won't have the same liver. Really? Is that true? Would you do that to me? Will you have a little gift for Lilia, please? Like a new...
Yes, we have some onions to go with it. And a lovely necklace of cultured pearls.
Oh, a lot of girls are here from Elmhurst. And Virginia Bennett is here from Baltimore. May I read your story, Virginia? Where are you? You have a lovely story. This is one of those nice, warm things. Mrs. Bennett says, my mother is 102 years of age. I took her to get a new hat. And she said to a friend of mine who was with us, do you think this hat makes me look a little too old? It's a beautiful story. What do we have for Mrs. Bennett, please?
6 stainless steel steak knives imported from Italy.
Very good. I hope you enjoy using them.
The people speak. The People Speak, a democratic forum of the air dedicated to the vital issues of the day in the true traditions of Washington, Jefferson, and Lincoln. Tonight, we'd like to ask this question. And we may get a chance to. If you had your choice, open the door. If you had your choice, where in the world would you pick to live? Mr. Lewis has his portable microphone with him as he goes into our studio audience to let the people speak for themselves.
Yes, I have my portable microphone with me as I go into the studio audience to let the people speak for themselves. Here now. Here is a gentleman in the 3rd row. Would you mind giving us your name, sir?
Bart Spender's the name, son, and I come from Texas. Texas, the state with the most wheat, the most barley, the most railroads.
Yes, well...
Texas, the state with the most skyscrapers, the most population, the most bridges.
Yes, well...
Texas, land of the most lakes, the most rivers, and the most mountains.
Just a minute, Mr. Spender. Just a moment, sir. I mean, don't you think the other states should get some credit for their share of those things?
What are you, son? One of them radicals?
No, of course not.
Well, if you're 100%, then give me the old Texas handshake.
The Texas handshake?
Just as I thought, a foreigner. There's not a drop of oil on your palm.
Where's my place here? Tell me, Tell me, Mr. Spender.
Struck oil for a minute there, son.
I know. Where in Texas do you live?
Well, I got a little ranch, son. Maybe you passed it. The entrance is right on the border.
Oh, which border? Is that Oklahoma or New Mexico?
Neither. Massachusetts.
Massachusetts?
I like a decent-sized driveway, son.
Yeah. Gee, you must be worth a fortune.
Well, now, you mean counting the millions in stocks, millions in gilt-edged bonds, a few billions in securities, a $500 million in real estate, a few $100,000 in investments, millions in annuities, and $100 or so million in loose change.
Yeah.
I'm surprised at you, son. It ain't polite to talk about money.
Now, what in the world is that?
I'm sorry, boy. I dropped my wallet.
Look, Mr. Spender, I'm a little curious. How did you ever manage to amass such a fortune?
Hard work, son. That's what it was. Hard work. I figure a man can get anything he sets out to get if he tries hard enough.
Ah, yes, it is a man's world.
Not anymore, son. I just put it all in my wife's name.
Mr. Spender, do you have any little spenders to leave your money to?
Well, you bet I do. I got a boy. He's not one bit spoiled, either.
Ah, good.
Yes, in fact, he likes to make a little pocket money delivering papers. He gets up every morning at 6 o'clock and delivers papers to 300 families.
300 families? Gee whiz, that sounds like pretty hard on the boy.
No, he doesn't mind. Kind of tough on the chauffeur. Well, I have to take back the plane.
Mr. Spender, it's time to get down to our question for tonight. Now, I know that you wouldn't live in any other place but Texas, but just assume that you had to choose another place. Where would you like to live?
Well, now, there is one place, son. People there have the right idea about money. They spend money like water, and the more they get, the more they spend.
Well, where is that?
Washington, D.C., son.
Thank you, Bart Spender. Let's see, I'll wander around here in the audience. Oh, you have to leave, dear. It's the first door to the right. The phone booth. Now, here's a lovely lady in the second row. May I have your name, please?
My name is Mrs. Robert Q. Lewis.
Would you mind repeating that?
I said my name is Mrs. Robert Q. Lewis.
Really? My goodness, I didn't think there was another man with my name.
There ain't.
Well, I'm afraid I don't understand. How could you be Mrs. Robert Q. Lewis? I've never seen you before. I'm not even married.
Relax, tall, dark, and a nudnik. I just dream I'm Mrs. Robert Q. Lewis.
You just dream that?
That's right. I dream I have mink coats, diamond rings, yachts, estates in the country, townhouses in the city.
Well, just a second now. Wait a minute. I think you're overrating my income. I mean, you wouldn't have all those things if you were my wife.
Who said anything about being your wife? I dreamt I was your widow.
Oh, what a terrible thing to dream.
What's so terrible? You die up here every night.
Never mind. Critics, that's all I get. What could make you dream anything like that?
Every night before I go to sleep, my father says, happy dreams.
Happy dreams, and that's what you do. Miss, I think I've heard enough about all this. If you're not going to tell me your real name, I shall have to ask you to return to your seat.
Boy, are you touchy. I'll tell you my real name on one condition.
All right, what's that?
First, you tell me your real name.
Well, Robert Q. Lewis is my real name.
Oh, yeah? What does the Q stand for?
Well, it's like the S in Harry Truman. It just doesn't stand for anything.
You mean the Q stands for nothing?
That's right.
That figures. It must be your real name.
Yeah. I don't get that. But all right. Look, miss, now I've told you... Oh, I didn't like that one inside. Now then, here now. What is your real name?
Dimples Knocknees.
What is it?
Dimples Knocknees.
Yeah, I asked for that one. Now, it's nice. You do have attractive dimples.
I also got knock-knees.
Yeah. I noticed. What sort of work do you do, Miss Knock-Knees?
I work nights assisting a scientist in the guided missile program.
Oh, I guess that kind of work would fall under the category of top secret.
It sure does. If his wife ever finds out, it'll be murder.
Yeah. Now, then we better get to our question of the evening. If you had your choice and could live anywhere in the world, what place would you pick?
Well, if I had my choice, I'd like to live in the Brooklyn Navy Yard.
In the Brooklyn Navy Yard?
Yeah, it would be a nice change after living so long at Fort Dix.
Thank you. Dimples knock me. Let me see who else is visiting with us. Oh, look who is here. Our expert from the Agricultural Service Bureau, Mr. Orville Judd. Mr. Judd, I'm amazed because you're usually with us on the stage as a guest speaker. What are you doing sitting out there in our audience tonight?
Well, you know me. I never was one for big crowds.
Yeah, well, I guess we don't have too many people here tonight because of the weather.
Yeah, it's nice out. We only come in here to get out of the rain, huh?
Oh, you do have a sense of humor. How have things been going up at the farm, Mr. Judd?
Oh, pretty slow. Fact is, the sheriff, Heathcote Guppy, he's been thinking of quitting. Because there ain't been a single robbery or burglary or larceny in 6 months.
Well, that's wonderful.
But I figure something's due to happen pretty soon. I ain't lost my faith in human nature.
Yes. Mr. Judd, I understand you had quite a snowstorm up there in Vermont this week.
Oh, it was a doozer.
Yeah, well, I hope it didn't hurt the crops.
No, but we got the only frozen turkeys that fly away when you defrost them.
This is a pretty picture. Tell me, Mr. Judd, how can the animals stand all that snow? I've often worried about that. Don't their feet get cold?
No, this cold snow don't bother the feet at all.
Doesn't it?
No, they don't mind the feet in the snow, but you ought to hear them cows screaming.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Well, I doubt it, and I don't know about the other people.
Well, anyway, I'm glad the bad weather isn't hurting your business. Yeah, I bet the kids must enjoy all that snow out in the country, don't they?
Oh, yeah, now you take Chuzzlewit Moog.
Who?
Zsa Zsa Moog's boy. Little Chuzzy, he built one of them houses out of snow, you know, like the Eskimos live in.
Oh, yeah, it's an igloo. That sounds like fun.
He already sold that one. Now he's building a development.
A development?
Yeah. You never see a split-level igloo, have you?
No. Tell me, Mr. Judd, what is the worst winter you can remember?
I ain't sure that we ain't living in one of them tonight. What was the question?
The question, as I recall, was, what was the worst winter that you can recall?
1922.
Oh, how much snow did you have?
Didn't have one flake.
Well, I don't understand, sir. If you didn't have much snow, I mean, why would that be a bad winter?
I got married that December. Friday the 13th.
I got it. Well, look, let's get to our question for tonight. Mr. Judd, if you had your choice, where would you want to live?
Well, I always think about that when I'm cleaning out the stable and you know, emptying out the pig trough and plowing the fields and shucking the corn and stacking the hay and currying the horses.
I see. And did you reach a conclusion?
Yes. I'd be a fool to move and give up that easy living.
Yes. Thank you, Orville Judd.
I just come in to get out of there.
I know. Try it again next week for the people to see. Here's an attractive young lady. Oh, dear, we had another production number planned for the close of the show. We've run out of time again. Tell you what, folks, we'll answer a request that so many of you have made from our clarinetist, Mr. John Pepper, who yesterday was featured with the Rochester Symphony Orchestra. And John will play one of his many selections from his long-playing album called Long Playing Album. Will you just go right ahead, John? Just stand and go right ahead, John. Oh, you can stop now. John, you can stop. That's enough, John. John, you can... Good night.
A fun half hour from January 31st, 1958, the Robert Q. Lewis Show. Tomorrow, we will have the crime, Big Town, Dragnet, Sherlock Holmes, The Lives of Harry Lime, Mr. District Attorney, and, of course, an episode of The Adventures of Jungle Jim. But coming up next, well, Jack Benny will be with us.
Excuse me, I'm a reporter. I'm doing a story about the post office, and I'd like to see how the mail is processed.
Be our guest, but better move back. Another truckload of mail is coming in. Hey, just pile it here, Harry.
Wow, that's a lot of mail.
Are you kidding? Those are just a few sacks. Dozens more come in every minute, loaded with letters that have to be sorted. The zip-coded ones are a snap. But those others, I'd like to talk to every person who sent a letter today without using zip code.
Yeah, what would you tell them?
I'd tell them their letters can hold up the works. Look, they'll be picking up the sorted mail in 5 minutes. Now, if every letter here had zip codes, they'd all make that pickup. But no, a lot of them will have to be sorted the old way. People who don't use zip codes are holding up the mail. Hey, that's a pretty good slogan. Why don't you print that?
I don't have to. You see, I'm a radio reporter. Your message is traveling all over the country right now.
No kidding. Say, can I just say one more thing?
Sure.
Hello, Sally. Hi, Ben. Hi, Susie. Hi, Sam.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we're going to go back 87 years. January 31st, 1937, an episode of The Jell-O Show starring Jack Benny.
J-E-L-L-O. The Jell-O program starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingston and Phil Harris and his orchestra. The orchestra opens the program with Everything is Rhythm in My Heart from First in Girl. Easy as rolling off a log. That's an expression we all use, but I know an even better way to describe something easy, and here it is. Easy as making Jell-O. Because Jell-O really is amazingly simple to prepare, and whenever you make Jell-O, you're making a dessert that's certain to please everyone. For Jell-O's famous true fruit flavor always gets a great reception. But just remember that you can find that grand extra-rich fruit flavor only in genuine Jell-O. All 6 delicious flavors are extra rich, and they come from fresh, ripe fruit. Easy to make, easy to take. That's Jell-O, the most popular gelatin dessert in the entire world today. That's Jell-O, too. So don't accept any substitute. Be sure you get the real thing. Look for the big red letters on the box. They spell Jell-O. And now we bring you our radiant master of ceremonies with warmth in his heart and a cold in his head, Jack Benny.
Hello again. This is Jack Benny speaking to you through a Kleenex. So don't get too close to your radios, folks. You know how these colds spread.
Where did you get that cold, Jack?
Down at the racetrack. I went out to Santa Anita yesterday.
Oh, why didn't you wear an overcoat?
I did, Don. I wore one on the way out. The bookmaker wore it home.
Usually do, don't they?
I tell you one thing, Don. I'm through with horses. That 4th race yesterday cured me.
Oh, that's all? What happened?
Well, Don, I didn't mind when my horse stopped in the middle of the race and quit cold. But when he came over to the rail and asked me if I heard Fred Allen Wednesday night, that was going a little too far. How can a horse run during the day when he's up all night listening to the radio?
Well, Jack, even they have to have a little fun.
Say, Don, do you think Allen could have bribed those people to say I couldn't play the bee?
Why, Jack, I thought you told me this morning that you were going to forget all about him.
Oh, yes. Just slipped by me. Well, anyway, I swore I'd never bet on another horse as long as I live. Unless it's a sure thing, you know.
Hiya, Don. Hello, sucker.
Listen, Mary, you didn't do so well at the track yourself yesterday.
I didn't, eh?
No.
I came home with 3 winners and a jockey.
Oh. Yeah.
Anyway, I only had bad luck in 1 race.
Yeah, what happened?
What happened? The jockey forgot his smudge pot, and my horse was frozen at the post.
No, Mary, why do you make those things up?
Good practice in case I ever get on a comedy program.
Yeah. Something funny about this? Well, that's my ambition, too. My ambition, yeah.
Hiya, fellers. Hello, Jack.
Hello, Fred. I mean, Kenny.
Oh, Jack, why don't you get Alan off your mind?
He's not on my mind, just because I happen to say Fred. There are a lot of Freds. There's Fred McMurray, Fred Astaire, Fred Stone. There are millions of Freds, aren't they, Kenny?
Yeah, but Alan's the funniest.
Is that so? Huh?
Say, who was that J.B. he was kidding about last Wednesday night?
J.B., probably George Burns. You know, he spells by ear. Anyway, I don't want to talk about him. Let's forget F.A. That's short for fake, and that's what he is. Let him top that one.
Don't worry, he will.
Oh, yeah? Well, let's forget it. What's that paper you got there, Kenny?
I don't know. I found it at the racetrack.
Let's see it. Oh, it's a dope sheet.
A what?
A sheet dope.
Oh, you can say it either way.
Did you have a good time at the track, Kenny?
I'll say they got better hot dogs there than at Ocean Park.
Oh, so you just go there to eat, huh?
You said it. I saw him with a hot dog so big I put $2 on it to show.
That's awful. Mean.
I just put mustard on it.
Oh, you did, huh? Come in.
Special delivery from Mary Livingston.
There she is.
The way he's laughing, it must be from my mother.
Hey, that's good. We could stand a few laughs. Well, you can go, boy.
What?
I say you can go. What are you standing there grinning at me for?
So you're the guy that can't play the V.
Get out of here. Wise guy. If I didn't have this cold, I'd go right after him. Between Allen and horses and coals and play, Phil. Give me an aspirin, Mary. St. Louis Blues, played by Phil Harris and his orchestra. And by the way, Phil, I want to tell you what a nice time I had at your house last Sunday night and how much I enjoyed meeting your mother and your sister, Lucy Bell. Say, she's a knockout.
Well, she thinks a lot of you, too, Jack.
Does she really?
Certainly does. She's been talking about you all week long.
Gee, no kidding, Bill.
Yes, sir. As far as she's concerned, you're the tops.
Gosh. Well, I've been... Come in?
That's your pulse.
Oh, it's good to know I'm alive, you know.
Yeah.
And that reminds me, Kenny, you embarrassed me terribly at Phil's party. Always hungry.
Well, they didn't serve anything.
Well, that's no excuse. And another thing, you can't eat goldfish.
You can't, eh?
No.
Wait till they look in the bowl.
Kenny. Say, Phil, is Lucy Bell coming up to the broadcast tonight?
You knew she was.
No, I didn't, really.
Yeah? What have you got that new suit on for?
This isn't a new suit.
And take off the tag.
You got to laugh tonight, didn't it? I bet I could think of an answer if I didn't have this cold.
Jack, I'm not a doctor, but you know what I think would be good for you?
What?
Why don't you take some Jell-O, dissolve it in warm water, stir thoroughly, and then after it cools, add some sliced bananas and have it with your dinner tonight.
Oh, will that cure my cold?
I don't know, but it's a swell dessert.
Well, I'll try it for the sake of my job, or my cold. Why, Mary, what are you laughing at?
This letter from Mama is a riot.
Well, if it's that good, let's hear it. See, your mother's letters are always funny. Go ahead, read it.
All right. Plainfield, NJ, Jan 29, PH-37.
What is that, a code?
No, I'm all right.
Oh. Go ahead.
Dear daughter Mary, received your letter, and I was sure glad to hear from you. We have been having very unusual weather in Plainfield, too.
Must be pretty cold there.
Your brother Hillard had a touch of the flu, but he is now up and around. This morning he got up and chased his nurse around the room.
I wonder who won there.
Your sister Rita's having trouble with her eyes again and keeps running into things all the time. So I guess we'll either have to get her new glasses or bumpers.
Now, that's silly.
Tell Jack I know it, but I gotta laugh.
It's a fine letter. Go on, huh?
Last night there was a lot of excitement at the Palace Theater. We went to see Camille. In the middle of the picture, Camille took sick and died, so we got our money back.
Oh.
It sure happened quick. She was in perfect health when we sat down.
Well, that's life for you, you know.
No more news at present, except your father is very busy making out his income tax. He cheats at solitaire, too.
Nice about your father.
Tell Jack we're all quite interested in his fight with Fred Allen. And speaking of the bee, will you please send me a check for $25? Love from us all, your Mater.
Mater? She's getting quite high class there.
Oh, here's a P.S.
Oh.
Please ask Kenny to sing Sweetheart, Let's Grow Old Together. And wish him the best of luck, as I know I'm tough to follow.
Well, that's mighty sweet of the Mater. Think you can follow her, Kenny?
Oh, sure. What's a Mater, Jack?
Well, mater is a Latin word meaning an ancestor on the maternal side. Do you get it?
Yeah.
What are you laughing at, Kenny? That's not a joke.
I don't care. I'm not fussy.
Go ahead and sing. Gee, I wish Lucy Bell would get here.
Sweetheart, let's grow old together. Love like ours will never die, hand in fair and stormy weather, as the years roll by. Dear heart, we're dancing, it's time for romancing, for just we two. Heart to heart beating, my lips keep repeating, I love but you. Dreams of the future arise. little blue eyes. Sweetheart, let's grow old together. Love like ours will never die, hand in hand in fair and stormy weather, as just you and I. On our golden wedding day, dear, I love you, I still will say, dear, so let's grow old together, sweetheart, as the years roll by.
That was Sweetheart, Let's Grow Old Together, sung by young Kenny Baker. Say, Phil, did Lucy Bell get here yet?
Not yet, Jack, but she ought to be here any minute.
I wish she'd hurry up. You said she mentioned my name, didn't you?
Yeah, she did.
What'd she say?
Well, she said if you'd have sent her flowers, they'd have been much nicer than the ones she got from Kenny.
Oh, yeah? You keep out of this, Kenny.
I didn't say anything.
Well, anyway, when Lucy Bell gets here, I want everybody to behave themselves, especially Kenny and Mary and Don.
I'll be all right.
Yeah, I bet that's her now. Gee, do I look all right, Mary?
Not to me.
Come in.
Mr. Benny?
Yes?
I want to take this opportunity of wishing you and
Get
your
out of
family...
here, will you? I wish somebody had set a trap for him.
Oh, Jack, look who's coming in the studio.
Well, well.
Here comes Lucy Bell now.
Well. Hello, Lucy Bell.
Hello. Oh, I'm just tickled pink to see you again, Mr. Benny.
Oh, Lucy Bell, why don't you call me Jack? After all, I'm your brother's friend, and yours, too, I trust.
You mean that?
Yeah.
You're not acting, are you?
Only like a fool.
Mary.
Oh, and there's Mr. Baker. Thanks for those poinsettias you sent me, Mr. Baker.
Shucks, I ordered flowers.
Why, Kenny, what do you think poinsettias are? A couple of dogs?
Yeah, with spots on them.
That's right. Tell me, Lucy Bell, you've been in town a week now. What have you been doing with yourself?
Well, I met a nice young man who lives next door, and he took me up to Hollywood Bowl the other night.
The Hollywood Bowl? Why, there are no concerts there this time of year.
We didn't mind.
I mean, have you done anything interesting?
Oh, that was very...
I mean, have you seen any of the sights around town?
Don't raise your voice to me, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lucy Bell.
Now listen, Jack. Either respect my sister or take up my option.
Oh, there's my brother. Hello, Filsy Lamb.
Filsy Lamb.
What are you laughing at, Stinky Pie?
That's your fault, Mary, for telling him my nickname.
Wait till I tell him your real name.
Why?
You know, you sure have a big crowd in this studio. Is that the audience?
No, that's Don Wilson. The audience is over here. Although he's an audience enough for anybody. You know, Don is our sponsorial mouthpiece.
He is? What's that?
Well, that's, Lucy Bell, that's... Oh, you explain it, will you, Don?
I'll be glad to.
I knew you would.
A sponsorial mouthpiece, Lucy Bell, is a fellow who says the Jell-O is the finest, tastiest dessert in the world, and it has that new extra-rich fresh fruit flavor, and every day millions of people eat it.
Oh, that.
Yes, Lucy Bell. That's Don's whole life, giving sponsorial hints to the world. Well, Lucy Bell, if you'll wait around till the program is over, we can go out somewhere and have a sandwich, you and I, or a dance or two.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jack. But the boy next door was waiting downstairs to take his foot drive.
Well, some other time then, huh?
Oh, yes. Well, bye, everybody.
Bye, Lucy Bell.
Come again.
Bye, Jack.
Goodbye, Lucy Bell. Have a nice time.
We will.
The boy next door. Say, Phil, who lives next door to you anyway?
Well, Robert Taylor lives on one side and Jackie Cooper on the other.
Oh, Jackie Cooper. Well, he's just a kid. I don't have to worry about him.
And Robert Taylor don't have to worry about you.
Yeah? Play, Phil. What kind of a Jackie? Remember, played by Lucy Bell's brother and his orchestra. And now, folks, tonight, I would like to settle once and for all an argument that has been the talk of the musical world. It seems that...
Say, Jack.
Yeah?
What about that special 4th of July sketch you announced last Sunday?
Well, Don, I'm not in a 4th of July mood tonight, but there will be some fireworks. I've got something very important on my mind that I'd like to discuss with Phil Harris, so if the rest of you fellas want to go home, it's all right with me.
Okay, as long as you don't need us. So long, Jack.
So long. You can go too, Mary.
All right. Come on, Kenny. Let him try to get laughs now.
Yeah, I'm not in the mood for laughs.
So long, Jack.
Goodbye. And there are other things in life besides comedy.
What's on your mind, Jack?
Come here a minute, Phil. Phil, how many men have you got in your orchestra?
15.
15, huh? Well, next Sunday, I'd like to have you add about 30 more. A real symphonic organization.
But what's the idea, Jack?
Well, Phil, there's one argument I didn't start that I'm going to finish next week. I'm going to play Schubert's immortal classic, The Bee. Thank you, music lovers.
But, Jack, do you think you can do it?
Oh, Phil, here's the music. You can see for yourself it's a simple composition.
I don't know. There's a lot of notes there.
Well, those aren't all notes. Anyway, should have screen doors here. Anyway, you can go now, Phil. I just wanted to get everything set.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Phil, I'm kind of tired anyway, really. I don't feel like working much more tonight, and I haven't been feeling any too good. I think I'll lie down here for a minute or two, yeah?
That's a good idea, Jack. That cold has got you down.
Yeah. So long, Phil.
So long.
See, this couch feels pretty good right now. I don't know how I ever got through today. Excuse me, folks. You know, I haven't been so sleepy since last Wednesday night between the hours of 9 and 10. Oh, boy. You know, folks, life's a funny thing. I don't know, it's the little things that upset you. You take a fella like Alan who, yes, sir, life sure is. Yep. I'll have a big symphony orchestra and I'll show that guy up. Bee, nothing but bee. The busy bee. To be or not to be. J.B., F.A., F.
Next Sunday night, Jack Benny will play the bee. Read all about it, folks.
Who's that? Who's that laughing?
Well, as I live and breathe and stuff a doll in my mouth so I won't laugh at his jokes, if it isn't Jack Benny.
Fred Allen. Allen, what are you doing here?
So you're going to play the bee, ha.
Yes, I am. And when I get through with the bee, it'll be number 1 on the hit parade.
Hit parade? Why, you couldn't even get into the parade of the wooden soldiers, and you got a head start.
Oh, no? Now, listen to me, Allen. Last Wednesday night, you brought 3 kids up to your program known as the 3 Smart Girls, didn't you?
Yes.
And what did you ask them?
I asked them why they call themselves the 3 Smart Girls.
Yes, and what did they say?
We said we never listened to Jack Benny.
Now, listen, Allen. Listen to me. You've dragged my name through musical mud long enough.
Well, what are you going to do about it?
See this gun? If you've ever prayed, pray now.
Oh, what's the use? You'll play the fiddle anyway.
Oh, yeah? Well, that's the last quip you'll ever make. Take this.
Wait a minute. Don't shoot.
I thought you were a coward, you spineless yellow jellyfish.
Yellow? Why, you're yellower than a canary bird with a jaundice.
That's the last straw. Now, before I bump you off, Allen, I just want you to remind you of a few things. You said I couldn't play the bee at the age of 10, didn't you? You brought the postmaster from Waukegan up to testify against me, didn't you? You brought the photographer. You brought my violin teacher. You brought our family pawnbroker. Why, for $2 more you could have gotten my father. You accused me of picking up old cigar butts. You said I'd never live to be 104 and a half. You made me the laughing stock of the nation. And Europe by short waves. You laughed. You lied. You ridiculed, you slandered, and you called me a squirt. Well, the squirt has turned. You reached the end of your rope, Alan. Take that, and that, and that.
Jack, what's the matter with you?
Wake up, Jack. What's wrong?
Oh, nothing, fellas. Nothing. I just had a dream. And, gee, it was swell. Play, Phil.
Nearly every home has some particular specialty, one grand dish that the whole can. And I'm here to tell you about that kind of a hit, combination of luscious figs and strawberry jello. Here's how you make it. First, dissolve a package of strawberry jello in 1 pint of hot water and fig juice. Chill until slightly thickened, and then fold in 1 cup of sliced stewed figs. After that, just mold and serve with whipped cream. And what a swell combination that is. Golden figs and rosy, cherry, strawberry jello. Good to look at, better to taste. No other gelatin dessert has Jello's extra-rich, fresh fruit flavor. So when you make jellied figs, just be sure to make them with the one and only genuine Jello.
The last number of the 18th program in the new Jell-O series, and we'll be with you again next Sunday night at the same time.
Oh, Jack.
Yes, Don?
A telegram just came in. Do you mind if I read it?
No. Who's it from, Don?
Well, it's from Alton Cook, radio editor of the New York World Telegram.
Oh.
It says, congratulations to Jack Benny on the new honors he has won in the World Telegram Radio Editors Poll. Stop. For the 4th consecutive year, he has been voted America's favorite comedian by the radio editors of the United States and Canada. Stop. The Jell-O program was picked as the all-around favorite show for the 3rd successive year, and Don Wilson was voted the best studio announcer. Stop.
Well done.
Congratulations also to Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, and Kenny Baker, who have maintained their same high standards. Signed, Alton Cook.
Well, thanks, Alton, and all of you fellow radio scribes for this great honor. I also want to thank my listeners, my cast, and my authors. Hey, wasn't that swell, Mary? Come on, let's go.
All right, my dream man.
Good night, folks.
Jell.
At this time, the entire country is shocked by one of the most unparalleled catastrophes in recent years. The victims of the floods need not only your sympathy, they also need your help. Give as much as you can afford to help relieve the intense suffering in the flood areas. Send your contributions to your nearest Red Cross chapter and be as generous as you can. Thank you. The part of Fred Allen was played tonight by Lind Hayes. The Jell-O program starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingston came to you from Hollywood. This is the Red Network of the National Broadcasting Company. KFI Los Angeles. 15 seconds until 9.
By the way, that Lind Hayes that was identified, we suspect it might have been Peter Lind Hayes, who did a lot of impersonations back in the day. All righty, the Jack Benny program, 87 years ago, January 31st, 1937, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Tomorrow, Big Town, Dragnet, Sherlock Holmes, The Lives of Harry Lime, Mr. District Attorney, and The Adventures of Jungle Jim. Those of you who listen to us on YouTube, go to classicradio.stream if you could, because we get no revenue from YouTube, and so, we're just kind of here. If you're watching commercials on YouTube, may I suggest Brave browser. That'll take care of a lot of your problems. But let me roll on here and mention that we have things there that can be purchased that'll help support this show. And you can also buy me a coffee there, the Buy Me a Coffee function at classicradio.stream. All right, Fibber, McGee, and Molly come up next here, but first, listen.
The Postmaster General of the United States, W. Marvin Watson.
Each year, the mail load increases by billions of letters, parcels, and publications. To handle this tremendous volume of mail, we need a modern postal system, and we're working toward that goal. What can be done now? The easiest, fastest way to improve mail service is to use zip code. With zip code, mail can be sorted faster and more efficiently. Help yourself to better postal service. Use zip code.
Thank you, Marvin. Now, Fibber, McGee, and Molly on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox to wrap up our Wednesday edition. This goes back 68 years to January 31st, 1956.
Miles Laboratories, makers of Alka-Seltzer, bring you another visit with Fibber, McGee, and Molly. Again, we invite you to listen to the transcribed adventures of Fibber, McGee, and Molly. The show is written by Phil Leslie and Ralph Goodman and directed by Max Hutto. We'll see what's going on in Wistful Vista shortly.
Say, Eleanor, what is the longest season of the year?
Well, I'd say the longest season of any year is the cold-catching season.
And I'd say you're right. It seems that old man Cold keeps chasing us humans all year long, doesn't he?
Yes, and he seems to be tagging a lot of us at this time of year. That's why it's a good idea to keep a healthy supply of Alka-Seltzer on hand. Because if that cold catches up with you, Alka-Seltzer helps you feel better while you're getting better. Alka-Seltzer relieves the headache, the feverish feeling, the general aches and pains of a cold.
And Alka-Seltzer makes a mighty soothing gargle for a raspy, irritated throat, too.
Buy a package at your drug counter soon, won't you? And to relieve the discomforts of your cold,
Take the medicine that's so refreshing.
take Alka-Seltzer.
The phone company serviceman has just left 79 Wistful Vista, where he installed an extension on the telephone. And here in the upstairs hall, admiring it, are Fibber McGee and Molly.
Oh, I'm just delighted, McGee. I've wanted a phone upstairs here for so long.
Yeah, this is going to be swell. You can get your beds made now every morning without having to run up and down those stairs like a monkey on a stick every time the phone rings.
I wish somebody'd call us. We can even take it right in the bedroom, you know. What are you doing?
Testing. You always want to test these extensions to see if they're hooked up right. And hello, operator. Stand by, please. I'm testing. Testing. 1, 2, 3. For goodness sakes, is that you, Mert?
Oh, dear. Now I can call her on 2 phones.
How's every little thing, Mert? 'Tis, eh? What say, Mert? They finally settled up your uncle's estate in France? He what? Made 1,000,000 francs during the First World War and left it all to your aunt? Gee, that's too bad, Mert.
Too bad? What's too bad about getting 1,000,000 francs?
They were spoiled. Been in storage since 1918, and they mildewed so bad the health department finally said that... What say, Mert? Phone test's okay, huh? Well, thanks, Myrtle. Goodbye, Mert. Ah, boy, isn't this a handy little extension?
Wonderful. I'll finish my housework up here now.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit down right here in the bedroom and give my shoes a shine.
Spread some newspapers around first.
Don't worry. I brought up newspapers and everything. You know something? We could bring our lunch up here and stay upstairs all day if we wanted to.
True.
Hmm.
Yeah, you forgot about that, didn't you? I'll get it.
Okay, I'll finish shining my shoes.
Coming.
Don't worry if the phone rings, Molly. I'll get it up here on the new extension.
Okay, dear, you can answer it. I hope somebody calls us soon because he's just dying. Well, Dr. Gamble, do come in.
Good day to you, my dear. Where's your bitter half this morning? Thinking up a new way to pick a fight with me, I suppose.
Oh, now, Doctor, you know better than that.
Oh, yeah.
You and McGee kill me the way you... Oh, dear, my pot of rice. It's boiling over. Pardon me, Doctor. Oh, it's all over the floor. I'll have to get the mop. Oh.
Go right ahead. Don't worry about me. I'll sit down in here and... Oh, wouldn't you know it? Every time a housewife is either busy or taking a bath, I better get it. Might be important. Hello?
Hello. Is this you, Doc? How are things at the office?
Oh, it's you, McGee. Where are you?
What do you mean, where am I? You were the one that called.
No, I wasn't, Johnny. I was the one who called.
Who's that?
It's me, son, the old-timer.
What are you doing in Doc's office? You sick?
No, I'm fine, except for hearing a lot of extra voices here.
Look, old-timer...
Yeah, that don't sound good. You better listen to Doc. Go back to his examination room and lie down. I'll talk to you later.
McGee...
What's the matter with him, Doc?
Nothing.
Now, you don't have to hold back with me, boy. Oh, I get it. He's still listening, huh? I can hear him breathing.
I'm not sick, Johnny.
Will you lie down? Take him back there, Doc. I'll hang on.
Well, I got the mess cleaned up, Doctor.
Oh, I'm glad you're here, Molly. Something funny's going on with your telephone.
Telephone?
Yeah, here, you try it.
Hello?
It's all right, Molly. I got it. It's Doc calling from his office. The old-timer's down there sick, and Doc can't get him to lie down. And
I ain't sick. There's nothing to... Hey, is that you, daughter?
Yeah?
Will you go lie down? Doc, are you there?
He's right here.
Where?
What's going on, Molly? Can't you...
Oh, it's this silly extension. We just had one put in the upstairs, Doctor. McGee must have picked it up the same time you did.
Hello? Hello?
You mean he's home? Here?
Yes, he's upstairs. Look, McGee, hang up. Come on downstairs. And, Mr. Oldtimer, will you call back?
Yeah, when you feel better, old-timer, but lie down now.
McGee, come on downstairs. If this isn't the silliest mixed-up...
I ain't sick.
In just a moment, we'll try to straighten out the McGees.
No matter what your age, your need for vitamins never stops. You cannot look and feel your best if you don't get enough vitamins. Now, when you depend on meals alone to supply enough vitamins, you may run a risk of vitamin shortage. So be on the safe side and take one-a-day brand multiple vitamin tablets regularly, every day. One-a-day brand multiple vitamins fortify your meals with all the vitamins anyone normally needs to take, children and adults. Easy-to-take one-a-day brand multiple vitamin tablets are smooth-coated and leave no aftertaste. And you can buy one-a-day brand multiple vitamins for less than 3 cents a tablet. Get them at your drugstore and take them every day. One-a-day brand multiple vitamin tablets.
Okay, then. From now on, that's the rules, right?
Fine with me.
Now, number 1, we never let company answer the phone. Too confusing.
Check.
And number 2, I'll let you answer first, but if you're out or too busy to answer, I'll let it ring 3 times to make sure, and then I'll pick it up.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This ought to work out fine, so I'll go back to my kitchen and get busy.
Good. Now I'll go back upstairs and finish shining my other shoe. That's what we should have had at first, a system. Doc Gamble coming in and answering the phone, got everything all fouled up. Ah, there. That's what I call a shine. Can't buy a shoe shine like that anymore. Uh-oh. I wonder if Molly's in the kitchen. Or 1. She's out back hanging up dish towels. She can't. 2. Maybe she went next door to 3. That's 3 rings. Well, it's my turn now. Life's sure a lot simpler when you...
Hello?
Oh, for the love of Pete.
Hello, this is Wallace Wimple.
I got it, Molly.
Oh, sorry, dearie.
I hear you folks just got it.
I thought we worked out a set of rules.
We did.
Telephone extension.
So it's my turn.
In your upstairs
You
hall.
picked it up before the end of the 3rd ring, McGee.
I did not.
How is it working
You
out?
did too, dearie. You should have waited until after the ring, not...
Look, I'm coming downstairs again. Maybe 3 rings ain't long enough. Let's have another talk.
Hello?
We gotta work something out.
I'll be right down.
Hello?
All right. Bye, dearie.
Hello?
Goodbye. Oh, my gosh, Wimple.
Yes, don't pick up the phone. I'll call him back from down here. Later. Come on down. Oh, this is ridiculous.
There it goes again. Now, let's see now. With the new system, first I holler, Molly! No answer. Now I wait 5 rings to make double sure. That's 3. That makes 4.
It's me, dearie. I was next door at the Nelson.
5. Hello? 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 Dad rat it. Hello?
Oh, here you are. Someone on the phone?
There was, yeah, but by the time I answered on the 5th ring, whoever it was got tired of waiting and hung up.
Oh, dear. McGee, we'll have to figure out a new set of rules for answering this
Yeah,
thing.
let me see now. How about this? We'll only answer the phone upstairs. Whoever's upstairs answered when it rings, whoever's downstairs don't. How about that?
What if nobody's upstairs when it rings? What if we're both downstairs?
Well, somebody'll have to... Yeah, that's no good. That's not workable. Hey, what if we do it by days? I answered all day today and you answered all day tomorrow.
I have a club meeting tomorrow, I think.
Well, doggone it, there must be some way to handle this dad-ratted double-headed telephone of ours. I'm going to sit down here and figure out some kind of a workable plan to put an end to all this foolishness if it takes me all day because it's silly the way...
Oh, I think you've got it now, McGee. I think that's the best idea yet.
I knew if I analyzed the whole problem, mauled it over in my mind long enough, I'd come up with an answer.
Well, that's for me. I believe that'll be the best deal yet.
Good. I should have thought of this an hour ago, but it seems so simple. Hello? Phone Company Service Department? This is Vista 4366. Yeah. I want you to get a man over here right away to take out an upstairs extension. On the double. Huh? Your department is closed.
Oh, dear, it is late.
Yeah? Well, I'll tell you what, Buster. If you can open that department of yours up again and get a man over here in 20 minutes, fine. But if you can't, I got a pair of wire cutters here that I can take the thing out myself. And what's that? 10 minutes. Good boy. Goodbye.
Good riddance.
Fibber and Molly have a final word for you to come.
Hello. Hello, Joan. Have you finished that mountain of ironing you were working on this morning? Yes, and it just about finished me. Well, darling, you deserve some fun. Why don't you and Bob come over and play some cards after supper? Oh, Peg, I'd like to, but my stomach's upset and I feel achy all over. Now, look, fun is good for you. You just take some Alka-Seltzer right now, and by dinner time, you'll be ready to enjoy a little fun.
Yes, and she will. You see, Alka-Seltzer tablets dropped into a glass of water fizz and become a liquid way to relief. Now, starting with a liquid is wise, because anything else you swallow has to be changed by your body into liquid form before it can help you. So, for headache, upset stomach, or general achiness, take the medicine that's so refreshing. Take Alka-Seltzer.
Hello?
Hi, Molly. This is Dr. Gamble.
Hello?
I've got it, McGee.
You kids still got the extension phone? Thought you asked him to take it out.
Oh, we did, but we changed our minds, Doctor. It wasn't the telephone company's fault. We just had a bad day.
Well, actually, I thought the whole thing was hilarious. I have to admit it. Oh, well, I couldn't help laughing at your troubles.
Oh, don't apologize, George. After all, that's what we're here for, to amuse our friends.
That's right, Doctor. If we brought one little smile, one ray of sunshine into another one...
Okay, kiddo. Don't overplay it. So long, everybody.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Fibber, McGee, and Molly, transcribed, is brought to you Mondays through Fridays at this time by Miles Laboratories, makers of Alka-Seltzer. The Old-Timer and Wallace Wimple are played by Bill Thompson and Dr. Gamble by Arthur Q. Bryant. This is John Wald reminding you that we'll all be back again tomorrow when a cat causes some dissension at 79 Wistful Vista. Be sure to hear it. And now, before we sign off, here are Fibber and Molly again with a special message for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, about polio, let's not be confused about one thing. Polio is not over. It's not finished and done with and gone, not by any means.
No, until a new polio vaccine is available to everybody and used by everybody, polio will still continue to strike down our people. There were almost 30,000 men and women and little children stricken by the dread disease last year.
And there will be many more victims this year. It's to fight against this vicious killer and to help its victims back to health that the March of Dimes appeals to you this month for help.
Please give as generously as you possibly can. Send your dimes and dollars to your local March of Dimes headquarters today. You get an awful lot for your money when you use it to buy health for a crippled child.
Thanks a lot. Goodbye.
See you tomorrow.
The big push for polio vaccination back in 68 years ago, January 31st, 1956, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Tomorrow, Big Town Dragnet, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, The Lives of Harry Lime, Mr. District Attorney, and The Adventures of Jungle Jim. Have yourself a great Wednesday, and we'll see you again on Thursday.